kids still doing that and out there playing for hours instead of just chilling on the video games is awesome to see. Anyway.
Chilling on the video games. Did you just age 55,000 years?
Well, we call them Fortnite nerds.
Yeah.
You know,
chilling on the
Fortnite
video
nerds.
games.
I mean, chilling, like playing video games.
That's the way to say it, yes?
You think an old man would say chilling on the video game?
That's what you just said, yes.
You think an old man would say chilling?
On the video game?
On the video games?
Well, oh well.
You're an old man.
If you want,
Well,
I'm not a gamer.
You're getting older.
I mean, I guess
Mikey.
Good evening. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, November 9th. We are right on time. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Got a big day for you. It is Hump Day. It is our last show of the week. Unfortunately, we will not be having our show from Uncle Earl's this Friday. Our friends at Uncle Earl's right here. They are beautiful to us. We love being there. We hate that we're not going to be there this Friday. We have an event for our good friend sitting here in the corner. Jared Mitchell, he has a monumental event happening in his life in January. And usually before those monumental events happen, you have another event for all of the people that are taking the time.
Slightly less monumental.
Hopefully, slightly less monumental. And you get to enjoy some festivities with the boys. That would be called a bachelor party. And we are going to experience that this weekend. And so we will not be here on Friday or Saturday. I'll be coming back on Sunday. So, no show. This is the last show of the week. So, let's make this one a good one. We got a big one for you. Heineken headlines. Tre Morgan just confirmed he is coming on the show via video call.
Skipping his last year, and he's going to announce it on this show. He's going to forego and go straight to the MLB draft.
Wow, he's going to play.
Breaking news.
He's going to play indie ball. He's going to play winter ball first.
Savannah Bananas.
Yes. I don't know if I think they're done.
Oh,
Tre World Tour.
That's right.
He's going to talk about how he's going to try to go 2020. No, I don't know what he's going to talk about, but he's coming on via video call from the stadium 6:30. He's got some things going on this evening after that, so we appreciate his time. Tyler Crass, local reporter in Arkansas, is going to give us the pulse on the Arkansas Razorbacks. He comes in at 7:15. We have talked about this weekend being a big week. Obviously is. You had a huge, emotional, monumental victory last weekend at home. Now you have to go on the road in an 11 o'clock game in an environment that you don't normally win in the past. The beauty of it now is you're not in the past. We are in the present. And I have a lot more confidence in the preparation leading up into these games. Regardless of all of that, it is still going to be a tough matchup. It's an SEC opponent. It's a rival. You play for that big-ass, heavy-ass trophy that nobody can carry after they win it. So they just lay on the ground and take a picture with it.
And leave it.
And someone else has to deal with it. Probably
Wheel it off.
Try to probably get a forklift and bring it to the bus.
What do they do with it? I know in 2019 they left it on the field.
Yeah,
right?
but then they put it into like the big equipment truck and bring it back.
Oh, G-string has to be like, I got to get the golden boot.
Yeah.
But with that said, Brian Kelly has made it a very big point of emphasis. We're bringing the boot back to Baton Rouge. Just because Arkansas hasn't.
Right.
It's only last 1 year. But this year, that trophy's important.
It's always important, I think.
I don't think it is, but this year
not
it
the
is.
trophy, the game.
And the old regime, not important. Regime, important.
The game itself is important.
Yes.
I don't think the trophy has anything to do with the game.
What are we playing for?
You're playing for your college football playoff lives, which we're going to get into. The college football playoff poll came out last night. LSU came in at 7, which is about where we all expected it to happen.
I can tell you the only time that trophy's not important. You want to know when it's not important?
When's that?
When we're trash.
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 Like last year.
Why? Because that trophy, because of when this game is played year in and year out, has a chance to derail something special
No doubt.
if you lose that game. So
Which-
it's always really important, except if we're trash.
Which, this weekend,
Which maybe
in
is
this
something
season-
that you think Arkansas is thinking that thing's trash, or we got to keep the.
It's
trophy?
always important to
listen,
them.
no doubt.
It's always
For
important to
sure.
them.
Which makes this weekend important because this game has monumental repercussions if you lose. Right? Monumental is the word of the day, I think. I've said that 3 times already in the beginning of the
Must
show.
have been a big day.
Yeah, it must have been a big day. A long day today, but great day today. Going to have a great show today, but it is a huge game.
Woke up for this.
I'm proud of you.
Thank
You're here
you.
before me. That's the first time in a long time.
Got
I think
my
he
prescription
literally woke
back,
up at
baby.
I think he literally woke up at 5:59.
I'm impressed.
This morning?
No,
I'm impressed.
Oh, yeah, I know. From when you saw me pre-show to now. Yeah. Showtime.
different guy.
Um,
The lights come
But
on.
I feel like the team's gonna be more confident going into the weekend. They're gonna be more prepared going into the weekend. They're not gonna be as apt to have a letdown like they've had in the past. Regardless of all of that, it's still gonna be a tough matchup. It's a must-win if you want to still have your chances of making it to the college football playoff. Correct me if I'm wrong. We only have to win one of the 2 games to make the SEC championship. Yeah. Why did the people in college football playoff keep saying, or why do these people keep saying that we have to win both?
Because they're talking about literally the college football playoff. I think.
Yeah.
No, to make the SEC championship, I mean.
You only have to win.
That's what I thought, but people.
Well, there's one scenario in which Ole Miss wins out, LSU wins out.
Okay, and Ole Miss would be in because we lost to Tennessee.
Right.
Okay, so technically, they're just assuming a loss, even though if everything's equal and we all went out.
But LSU has the.
Yeah, we lost to Tennessee. 2
the
SEC losses,
tiebreaker.
but the West, right?
That's.
You have to win the West, and we have the tiebreaker over both of them.
Right, even with the loss to Tennessee, right?
That's what I thought. I saw that.
That's
on
what I thought
Twitter.
too. So
Yeah.
people are confusing me. Regardless,
Win out.
make the college football playoff. The goal is obviously getting to the SEC championship first, because the only way you're able to make it to the college football playoff is getting there and then beating Georgia. So win out, beat Georgia, and you have a chance to be the first 2-loss team ever to make the college football playoff before the playoff gets expanded to 12 teams.
It
So
feels like they're sprinting toward.
It feels like
this year is kind of a wonky year for them, and this is like we're looking at the top 25 rankings of the college football playoff. We have them on the screen right now, and I mean it has a chance to get what.
It's not like they got. Do you remember the Broncos field reporter? They only got to do one game when he was on the sidelines, and he was like, "There he is on the field right now. You're seeing him on the screen."
Oh, the guy, the coach or something, or
no,
whatever
it was the Spanish game day
That's
reporter.
right,
And he
that's
got
right.
his big shot, and he was like, I fucked it up.
That's okay. We're not gonna.
You
fuck
won't get
it up.
another chance.
We're not gonna mess it up, but
There it is on the screen.
the top 25 is there on the screen. There he is playing on the screen right there in front of us.
Having the time of his life.
Having the time of his life. And you look at it, you have Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, Tennessee 5, Oregon 6, LSU 7, USC 8, Alabama 9, Clemson 10, right? That's the top 10. Now, within that top 10, Georgia being number 1, if they win out and they lose to us in the championship game, it seems like they are probably in based off of them being number 1. Ohio State, winner of Ohio State, Michigan seems like they are in. TCU has to play Texas this weekend, which if you look down there, Texas is ranked 18th in the CFP poll, which is a huge matchup. I believe Texas is favored by 6.5 points, which is pretty outrageous that is the case. But hopefully Texas upsets TCU, knocks them out, which moves Tennessee up to 4. Now, that's the issue. Reese Davis kind of talked about that on the show. Is it seems like Tennessee being 5, which they should be ahead of us, seems to block LSU. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think that the college football playoff committee.
Yeah, we're blocked now. That's
right
fine.
now. But if LSU wins out and beats Georgia, you can't deny the SEC champion
can't.
a playoff position. You just can't do it.
If there were ever a year in which it happens, it would probably be this year, right? So they can reinforce the fact that, look, we want to do this 12-team playoff. You can't have teams like LSU left out the play. SEC champion, the team that
can't do it.
The SEC, the conference.
Right, but here's the deal: Tennessee would have one loss, and they could have the same argument. Like you can't let keep Tennessee out, right?
Right. So
but then you can't also put 3 SEC teams in the 4.
Here's a way you can, and I'm just being completely honest with it, right? I get what you're saying, but we've already talked about it. You get to November, and that's the contender season, right? So, like, what you've done before is all great, but it's who turns it on in that last month, that last 5 weeks of the season to really show up and really kind of put themselves at the top of the board, right? So if LSU were to beat a 6-rated Alabama, if they were to beat a number 1 ranked Georgia, all in that last, you can't hold them out.
Can't hold them out.
Right? Like, you just can't.
So
it is what it is. And all Tennessee will have to show at that point of the year is a big loss to Georgia, and no one else that's even on the schedule.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that they're going to be the ones out, but I'm just saying that stuff matters.
Right.
Like,
and obviously Tennessee's argument is, they boat raced LSU at home.
Which is fine. That's
which
a great argument.
Right. That's
now.
Yeah.
It's a great argument right now.
Literally recency bias.
Right. And now you go look at it, they say, the one bad loss LSU had was the first game of the season against Florida State. That loss is not near as bad as it was. Say Florida State continues to win out. They're probably going to be ranked in the top 15 of the college football playoff because they are ranked number 22, I believe, or is it 25? Can you pull that back up for me?
Pull it back up.
They are 23, right? So they're ranked in the top 25. They continue to win out and they continue to move up. That one loss that we lost by 1 point, and we admittedly and obviously and very apparent to everybody that's watching football and college football is this LSU team was not the same LSU team as that team. We lost on a missed assignment, extra point that is kind of a fluky loss, right? So that bad loss is now no longer a bad loss.
And I'll tell you what else. Like, let's just, we're assuming right here. Like, we're just talking about it just to put it in a position. Say that LSU does get to the point to where they are SEC champions, right? No one's saying it now because it really doesn't matter right now. But what also is going to come up is, hey, y'all do realize that of all these teams we're talking about, there's only one of them that is in its head coach's first year. Mm-hmm. There's only one. So that's a whole new team with a bunch of transfers that had to get together and learn how to play with each other and look at where they are. Or look at what conversation you're in. It's really hard for you to say, nah, they don't belong.
Right.
What did you think you were going to see early on in the season?
Right. So, well, and that's the thing is like, with the college football playoff and the fact that it is a committee and there's no computers involved, obviously you have stats and you have rankings and you have strength of schedules and all of these types of things. Strength of schedule and strength of something. There's two strengths in like whatever they talk about. And they go through, but they also have the eye test. They also have, hey, did you lose a game early in the season with somebody lost? Did you lose a game early in the season with the things that you talked about? And are you a different team now, which we are? And they take all of those into consideration now with this committee. Now, are they going to be bold enough to make that decision? I think if LSU wins the championship game, I don't know how bold of a decision that would be. SC champion needs to be in. There will be two teams from the SEC if that's the case. There may be two teams from the SEC anyway, right? So I think regardless, there's going to be two teams, either LSU and Georgia or LSU and Tennessee. Shit, there's going to be an argument to have three teams. They're not going to put three teams in the SEC in the Final Four.
There's a strong argument. I'm not. I'll leave that out of.
Can you pull that schedule back up too, please?
Absolutely. But it's
I think that's the last thing that they want. Shit would have to go haywire elsewhere.
Well, and that's that's what kind of got us into this conversation is you said they're sprinting into the 12-team playoff. Like, hey, you getting to that situation where it looks like three SEC teams should be in the playoff, that is like supersonic, Sonic the Hedgehog speed, right? Like, you're getting there.
Jim Carrey.
Like, well, we can't do this.
Yeah.
We can't, this can't happen because, like, all three of these teams deserve to be in, but whatever. So, looking at this, right, let's say TCU loses to Texas this weekend. That's a very good possibility. They are dogs in the game. Tennessee moves up. Oregon still has to play USC. Oregon still has to play Utah, correct?
Yeah.
We looked at that yesterday. USC has to play maybe not Utah.
Are we sure they play USC still?
They have to play USC.
Because I know USC. I thought USC.
And there is a Pac-12 championship game.
They usually play in the Pac-12 championship against each other. Did it last year, and Utah boat raced them.
They play somebody though that's ranked in the top. They have to play Washington. They
still got to play Oregon State.
They have a few people left on their schedule that are tough.
UCLA.
They have to play UCLA.
And they still have to play Oregon State.
Right.
They lost to Utah 43-42.
Right.
Yeah. They have Colorado, not a big deal. Then they finished. We're talking about USC here, correct?
No, we're talking. But we're talking about Oregon first.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's all right.
Let's see. They have Utah left.
So they do have Utah.
And they have Washington, the top 24 team, Utah, and Oregon State.
Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't think they had USC.
So they have two ranked opponents, and if you get to the Pac-12 championship, you're going to play USC or whoever else, right? So let's say, both of them have one loss.
Yeah. Right?
So one of them is going to have two losses. They're going to knock each other out. One's out. Two loss, Pac-12 out, right? Then you have, USC has to go and play Notre Dame. They have to play UCLA. So let's say they lose to Notre Dame. They already have two losses. They beat Oregon, both two losses, both out. I think Pac-12 not going to make the Final Four. That leaves basically Tennessee and LSU, and then Michigan, Ohio State.
And if they went out, I really don't think it'll happen. But meaning like I don't think they'll get the bid, but that'll leave Clemson right on the outside looking at it with one loss and trying to state their case. They're not going to get
I don't think they're going to get in. But, talking about path to the playoff, there's obviously a clear path. LSU controls their own destiny. If you win, you're in kind of thing. We believe that. But that's no easy task, right? You talk about having to go this weekend to Arkansas. I don't want to look too far ahead, but A&M on the road is also kind of not a sleeping giant, but they have a lot of talent. They have the ability to sneak up and bite somebody. I am very confident that we have the leadership in place, that the complacency part and the, hey, get, comfortable thing isn't going to happen. You look at Brian Kelly's track record in the past, every team that he's supposed to beat, he usually beats, right? Like, his whole issue and the bugaboo for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame was he can't beat the big teams in the big games. But every time Brian Kelly, majority of the time, I don't want to say every time because I'm sure it's not every time, majority of the times Brian Kelly has been favored and supposed to beat a team, they beat them. So
Brian Kelly has won 17 straight games in November in his career. So he's on
that's good.
Never walk away from a heater, and the man is on a heater right now.
Right. And so that's what he said. November.
That's a hangover.
What's the pretenders in the November is for contenders?
And then he had Did you watch the LSU Gold? Do you have
but they hoped they had that last one and said you can watch it for 24 hours. I was 60 minutes. I didn't watch it because it was 60 minutes and I didn't have time to sit down and watch it. But
it's a hell of a movie.
I heard it was awesome.
Yeah, but in there, it's a little bit of a dovetail of what he's talking to about the team saying LSU rises to the level of competition for Alabama. He's like, no, fuck that. Like that part. Right after that, he says, and don't forget. Like, y'all can put all the importance you want on Alabama, but to get to where we need to go, Arkansas, like that. If we lose next week, this game don't mean shit.
Right.
So don't lose focus just after this Alabama game that you can move on to Arkansas and then the coast is clear because now where we are now, if we beat Alabama, you have the whole thing in front of you. So don't think like this is the only goal of the year because once you beat Alabama, you can do anything you want.
I was about to say I'd be a fool to sit here and say. Because we've said this a lot this year, like, oh, this is a huge week for them, the biggest week of their season. It's not yet. Let's be completely honest, right? Let's you can cut out the locker room talk. Don't try to fool people. It's not the biggest week, but they still have a huge opportunity to keep themselves in the driver's seat for where they want to be at the end of the year. That's what this opportunity
right,
is.
which is huge.
Right, and I think that's the mountain that you climb over, that you get over when you become and you understand that you're a good team, is because there's no longer the hey, you're not supposed to, so nobody's gunning for you. And like, nah, dog, you beat the Alabamas. We want to beat you. Now you are the one that's ranked in the top 10, top 5. We want to beat you.
Right.
That's when you get to the other side of it where you understand what it's like to be a team that is a really good team because you're now the hunted in a way.
No doubt. It's going to be interesting. A good thing we have a
hog expert
coming in at 7:15 to give us a little bit of update and the feel of Arkansas because KJ Jefferson is
Pig Suey, and then their coach left.
Absolutely,
you remember that?
Absolutely hate that chant.
It's the worst in the SEC. They're
tough.
all. LSU has the best one. We only can get through 3 letters at that point in the game. Like, don't give me anything else to say.
Yeah, I mean that's the Woo Pig Suey is tough,
It's the worst
especially
one.
when they're beating you.
Yeah,
It's the worst one.
That's tough. But
Not even when they're beating you, just when they score anything.
yeah,
First down.
anytime you hear it. But you have KJ Jefferson, which they say he's day to day. They don't know if he's going to play. I don't think that he's going to. I think that this is more of a you don't know who you're going to prepare for type of thing.
Yeah.
But Arkansas came into the season with extremely high expectations, and they've underachieved. They haven't played to the level of football that they want to play at, and I don't know the reason for that. Obviously, I don't follow Arkansas as closely as Arkansas fans do, but KJ Jefferson got banged up a little bit. They lost some games when he wasn't there. He is a good quarterback. I saw, Football Down South or something tweeted the top quarterbacks in the SEC, and it was Bryce Young, or no, it was Hendon Hook. I think it was Hooker, Bryce Young, Will Levis. Maybe not Will Levis. Anyway, it was. I think Jaden was 4 or 5.
This is like a stat thing?
KJ, no, it was just like KJ Jefferson was 4 above Jaden Daniels. I don't agree with.
Before the year?
No, this was I just saw it today. So
I don't think he's gonna play.
I don't think he's gonna play either.
He tried to give it a go against Liberty, and it was obviously they lost.
Yeah, and that was a tough loss for them, right? Like that's something that I want to ask. Like, what's the feeling on the loss? Like they are pretty much out of contention for anything that they thought they were in contention for to start the season. So where do you go from here? You have the guy that you feel like is like their version of Coach O, which I don't agree that he's quite like Coach O, but I get what you're saying as far as like a rah-rah, like kind of
doesn't have a specialty. Yeah, let me hype you up, and this is when it can go north or go south, right? Because how many times, like when you need to make adjustments, it's not like, hey, we're gonna get it fixed. We're gonna get it fixed this week, and it's like, no, we're not.
Right.
Who am I listening to? But it does seem like he's not as unhinged as Coach O was.
Right, and that's the difference.
Still in the office.
Right, that's the difference.
I was about to say,
he's a little bit more organized.
It's trying.
I don't think Coach O was super X and O's through the 2019 season. He just wasn't.
He was a big pop in, knock on the door.
He just wasn't.
All right, y'all are working. Love to see it. I'm gonna go.
But we kind of get into the preview a little bit. We're gonna get more into that when we talk to Tyler Crass 7:15. We have Tre Morgan coming on in 10 minutes. Sprinkle a little baseball in there. You know, Tre's been going back and forth with text messages with me throughout the course of the fall. I was trying to get him on earlier. He had some prior obligations. He couldn't come on, but he was like, man, I can't wait to come on. I want to talk to you about the changes in the swing that I've done and why I've done it and the change in my approach. It's made a huge difference. We kind of asked Jay Johnson about that when we had Jay on the show a few weeks ago, and he said as much, but he didn't want to. He wanted Tre to kind of give the conversation. He didn't want to answer for Tre, but he has seen the results of this adjustment, and we have seen it as far as like the stats go. I think Tre Morgan has like 5 or 6 home runs in this fall. He's hitting the ball with a little bit more juice. He's obviously healthy, but you know, I saw some videos of his swing. It looks a little different, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say. I can't wait to hear what the pitchers look like because, you know, being the hitter that he is, extremely good hand-eye coordination, extremely good bat-to-ball skills, now hitting the ball a little bit out of the ballpark. Gives a pretty accurate description of like what he's seeing, right? Because he's an elite hitter going against elite pitchers. How difficult has that been for him? And does, as the quote say, iron sharpen iron, right? Like if you have this deep of a pitching staff, like how much better does that prepare you going into the season facing guys that are not nearly as good as the guys that you faced all through the fall and all through the early spring? So I'm excited to talk to him because, you know, he seems like he has a very good understanding of what he's trying to do at the plate. And you know, his results have been a little bit different than they have been in the past. What you got? You got anything that you want to hear from him?
I just want to hear him talk about it all. I mean, we'll ask him questions. Obviously, don't want to give those away, but just kind of want to hear him talk about it. Where he, you know, ended the season with everything, and then kind of where he is right now, and how does he see this thing going forward?
A lot of talk about people taking his spot at first base when he's been a premier first baseman in the SEC the last few years.
I don't know about taking his spot.
But... Well, yeah, no, but moving him maybe to the outfield to make room for all the elite hitters that they've added. I'm sure Tre is like, I mean, I'll do whatever for the team, but I feel like he's going to get drafted to play first, right? Or do you think?
Yeah, I saw a mock draft, you know, prospect-wise, had him kind of in the first round.
No, I'm talking about first base.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sure he's going to play some.
I'm sure he'll play first.
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe he's athletic enough to be able to play multiple positions. First, maybe his main spot, but you know, I think they're gonna. Yeah, I think now the way baseball's going,
it's turning more into a positionless game.
Yeah, the more
besides like a first baseman. I
mean, look, if you're an elite,
if you're up the middle of the field, minus maybe
fielder.
Second base, yeah, that's pretty much where. Becomes positionless.
Right. So, you know, I want to get his take because he's been here for a while. He's seen a lot of different things. He's seen a lot of different pitchers. He's in the chat.
Yeah, the guy's early.
All right, let's get about a minute to get him situated, settled in, and we will be back. You're watching Mik'd Up, brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Today's show is brought to you by Dos Equis. Here in Louisiana, we like to have a great time. If you're looking to be the life of the tailgate, check out Dos Equis mini kegs. Hold 16 beers, easy to tap, easy to pour, easy to chill. Check it out. Become a life of the party. You're welcome. Hey y'all, it's Mikey from Mik'd. I want to talk a little bit about my friends down at Sterling Automotive in Lafayette. They're locally owned and operated for over 25 years. They have 13 locations, 4 in Opelousas, 5 in Lafayette, 1 in Broussard, 2 in Jennings, 1 in Crowley. They sell any type of car you could possibly find: Buicks, GMC, Ford, Lincoln, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Hyundai, Genesis, and Kia, along with 5 pre-owned locations. They have over 1,500 cars in inventory on site. Unbelievable service, unbelievable people. If you're like me and you're on the go, they can sell and they can ship you cars up to 200 miles away. If you're like me and you're always on the go, they offer complimentary delivery at saveatsterling.com.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me? Gotcha. What's up? How you doing?
We're coming right back to you. We're right back to you. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We were brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Lloyd's trying to embarrass me on air with an awful edit. I mean, unbelievably bad edit.
That
It made me
was
feel like an idiot.
Well, if you have the raw copy, I did a lot of magic in there. That was Mikey's first time doing an ad read. Got mad at himself a good bit, and so I was like, you know what, I can fix it in post. I got mad at me, and then we just played. That's the one that we're rolling with for now.
It's all right. That's not the important thing. We got through that ad read. We are back. Tre Morgan, All-American first baseman for the LSU Fighting Tigers, is so kind to give up some of his time on this Wednesday night. He's got some things going on after this, but he's going to give us a few minutes to be able to talk to him, ask him questions, talk about the new guys that are in the building, and talk about his new swing, which I'm excited to talk about because it seems like he's starting to hit a lot of homers, and I like homers. So let's get into it. Tre, thanks for coming on, bro.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Let's get right to it, bro. So we had Coach Jay Johnson on the show probably about 3 weeks ago, and we were talking about the fall and how the fall was going. And obviously there's a bunch of new guys, but there's also a bunch of returning guys who have made a name for themselves, and one of the guys was you, right? Me and you had kind of had some text message conversations going on before that, and you had talked about how you changed your approach and your mindset and tweaked some things at the plate, and you've seen the results and you're excited about it. I kind of brought it up to him. He started smiling and he said, I obviously am very happy with the results. I would like Tre to explain the moves because I don't want to talk for him. What did you do and why did you do it?
I mean, the biggest adjustment I had to make wasn't even anything physically because the strength's there, everything was there. It was just some mental adjustments, like swing decision. So as soon as the season ended, pretty much, got a weekend of rehab to get my knee back right, which was the most important thing. Like me playing 100%.
How is your knee?
It's perfect. I'm back. I'm
all right, there
great.
we go.
Yeah, that was the first thing that was worked on. And then I went and sat in his office and I talked with him. I said, Coach, look, how do I pretty much achieve, or how do I get to those home run numbers that I know are in there that I really want? And the biggest thing for me, at the end of the year, I sat down with our head coach and we had our stats right in front of us. And he had one stat to be circled right there. It's my swing percentage. I swing at 61% of the pitches I saw, which is insane.
Wow.
It's just
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot of swings. And being the bat to ball guy you don't swing and miss that much. So you're getting a lot of soft contact.
Right. It's like instead of strike one, it's a ground out to the shortstop.
Right.
Sort of thing. A fly out to left. It's not a swing and miss. It's not down in the count. It's that bat's over. I'm 0-4-1 rather than being 0-1 in the count.
Right.
That was the biggest thing. And then we also looked at my whiff percentage and my batting average with 2 strikes. And you look at those two things and it was just my whiff percentage was really low compared to the pitches I'm swinging at, obviously. And hitting with 2 strikes, I actually hit higher with 2 strikes than I did in other counts. Like my batting average was higher with 2 strikes. So it's I have to adjust not being scared to get to 2 strikes because really statistically I have a better chance of getting a hit if I get to 2 strikes. But when I'm early in the count, it's rather than seeing the whole zone because I know the zone so well, it's rather cutting the zone in half and pretty much sitting what I'm looking for. And if I'm not getting it, like I said, I'd rather be 0-1 in the count than 0-1 on the day, sort of thing.
So I'm glad you brought that up because we all know it doesn't matter how good of a season you have, you're going to go through that struggle point of the year. With making these adjustments, and especially early in the count, have you figured out what could be, whether it's something mental, whether it's something drill-wise or physical, have you figured out something for you that's going to be your saving grace when it comes to the season when, like you just talked about, we get earlier in the counts and say you're not on, and say you're swinging and either swinging through pitches that you feel like you should hit or fouling them back that you feel like you should hit. Instead of getting frustrated, have you figured out something that you are going to be able to use as your saving grace, as something that you can kind of lean on in those times until everything starts to feel right again?
Definitely. It's still not like I haven't changed anything I work on when I get 2 strikes in my at bat. Like I feel like I feel the most confident, ironically, when I get 2 strikes. Like when I get 2 strikes, it's like you got to show me something before I go back to the stuff sort of thing. So I feel like that kind of enjoyment, like I enjoy hitting with 2 strikes for the most part because it's just like a competitive edge sort of thing, and that's really how I play the game. So that part kind of shines out for me. So when I get to 2 strikes, like, that's my saving grace.
So, you know, obviously the numbers, you know, you see, I don't know how many home runs you have in this fall, 4, 5, 6, something, a lot, right? There's a lot of homers being hit, but there's also a lot of good arms on the mound, right? There's a lot of guys throwing a lot, having a lot of high velocity, having a lot of success, and, you know, fans that aren't there all the time and watching y'all play, they maybe just see the results of, man, these guys can really hit, but what about the pitching staff? And they don't really focus so much on the pitching staff. The reports that I've been getting and the people that I've been talking to is the pitching staff is elite. And they have a lot of guys, they're extremely deep. They have a lot of guys that have a lot of high velocity and know what to do with it. What have you seen from the staff? And is this something like, you know, the cliche says of iron sharpens iron, right? You're facing some of the most elite pitchers in the country on your own team, kind of sets it up for, hey, when the regular season is like, there's nobody that's better than what we're going to face than the guys that we've already faced.
Right. It's crazy in our fall scrimmages this year. Dude, when I tell you pretty much everybody throws over 93, 94. Like, they're just lighting up the radar gun. Even dudes from last year who are sitting like 90, 91, they are lighting up the radar gun. And that's just like getting used to facing that velocity. Because when we were sitting like early in the year, you know, facing that 90 or so, you got to stay prepared for when SEC comes because you're not seeing a lot of 90s in the SEC.
Right.
95, 96, like it's nothing. Like they're just pulling them out of nowhere. So being able to have that on our team pretty much every scrimmage, and when we're scrimmaging during the season, because we do live at-bats during the season also, that's definitely going to keep us engaged and keep us ready for when that time comes when we're facing those great arms.
Are you still, so obviously you're an elite defensive first baseman. Everybody knows about, you know, you being a good offensive player, but I think a lot of people talk more about how good of a defender you are, how good your hands are at first. Now, obviously you had a bunch of transfers come in that have played first base at other spots, and people are talking about, well, maybe Tre moves to the outfield and maybe somebody else comes to first base. Has there been talks? Are you going to be the first baseman, or are you working some other spots?
No, I don't want to really speak on that. I don't know how it's
Fair enough.
Go down. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Fair enough. This is good or bad.
No.
Whatever it is.
Listen to me. This man is
Close to the vest.
Gold glove caliber first
That's what I'm
baseman.
saying.
All right. And he's a super athlete. So you got two of the best options, two of the best characteristics of a baseball player in one. So I respect that. I'm not going to go into that. But let's
I
go.
heard he was going to play catcher.
Hey.
Lefty back there.
Listen, why not? Be the first one back there. Be the first one back there.
Who needs knees?
So you have a guy on there. I was looking at some of the tweets from LSU Baseball, and you have a guy on the team, came from Air Force. He's kind of like the college version of Ohtani, apparently, because in the scrimmage the other day, he went 99. He threw a pitch 99.7 miles an hour, and he's been hitting home runs, feels like every other day. What has your impression been of Skeens, and what does he bring to the team?
Man, that dude is a freak, bro. Like, the way he can do that, like the way he can get on the bump and throw 98, 99 on Friday when we're scrimmaging, and then come back Saturday and go 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run. Like, that's something I used to do when I was 9 years old, sort of thing. Like, that, like, thing. And it's not by luck either. Like, that dude is one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's not one of those, like, talk about it guys. He's a big be about it. Like, the way he carries himself, he gets here early, he leaves late, he's always caring for his body in the ice bath, in the training room. Like, he does everything the right way, pretty much.
So we talk about some of the newcomers. Let's talk about some of the freshmen right now. And I don't care if they're the most talented, the least talented. Which one of these young guys, like when you watch them play, you watch him and you see him and you look at him, you're like, they got something about him. Like, it's just special. Like, they don't seem like they'll be afraid of, like, the real lights. Like, which one of them has that kind of swag and carries himself that way that's most notable to you?
Other than Ethan Fry and Jerry Jones, who just came on the campus huge like that, I feel like if I was in their class, I wouldn't have gotten recruited here. The way they hit the ball and how big they are, it's ridiculous. But the way I've been watching Paxton a little bit, Paxton Kling, and the way, like, he's got the skills for it, the way he carries himself, everything's right. He works hard. So
it's the hair and the stash, dude.
Oh, yeah, he's got it. Like, he's got the look.
Guy doesn't care.
How deep is the outfield going to be? Because you talk about Paxton Kling, right? But you obviously have Dylan Cruz, who has the potential to go number 1 overall in the draft next year. You have Pearson, who seems like he's pretty much earned his spot as an everyday outfielder because of what he did last year as a freshman. And you have a bunch of other guys who have played the outfield. You have Gavin Dugas. You have all these guys who are capable and very good, but there's only 3 outfield spots. And so, what have you seen as far as, and obviously, you're not coach, so you're not going to make these decisions. I'm not saying who should start, who's not, but what have you seen as far as the outfield competition goes? Because competition makes everybody better, and there's a lot of it out there.
Right, definitely. I mean, you can tell every day that these dudes are competing. They're working their tail off, doing the right things pretty much. But the biggest thing it comes down to, and we talk about it every meeting, pretty much every time Coach Johnson talks to us, it's about the mental game. It's who can, who can the lights never get too big for, sort of thing. So that's really who's going to be out there. That's who he says at every position for us. Who can he trust mentally for every pitch of every game. So that's how it's going to get done there.
Obviously, a lot has been made of the people that Jay Johnson has brought in, a lot of new players. How do you feel that people have been kind of integrated into the culture that Jay Johnson built and that y'all built last year, and how much of that is either like competitive competition or there's actual like camaraderie? Because there's a fine line between two where you want to like push yourself against each other, then it can become contentious to a point where it's like, hey, we're all fighting for the same thing because there's only 11 spots on the baseball field.
Right. It's kind of like, so
9.
We spent so many hours here. And I feel like you kind of have to end up, loving every dude on the team. Like, the amount of time, what we go through, the sweat, blood, everything we do on that field, like, when it comes at the end of the day, you have to trust that the person next to you on that diamond is going to get the job done. And everything we're going through right now is kind of earning that trust, developing that trust throughout the team. So I think we're at a pretty good spot.
Is there something, you say you're there a lot, right? You're around the guys a lot.
There right now.
Obviously. Hey, give a little panorama view of the Look at that. Look at that. Look at all the trophies in there. Look at that.
Look at that.
That looks like an accomplished room right there.
That looks like a fun place to be. Did not look like that when I was in there.
No.
It's way better now. It is not like that.
Still had all the stuff. Just
Still had all the stuff. It just didn't look as pretty.
pretty bare.
Didn't look as pretty.
Right.
You know, obviously the season is a little ways away, and you know you don't want to look too far ahead in the future. Obviously, you still have a lot of work to do. But you being a junior, you being draft eligible, there's a lot of guys on the team that's draft eligible. I remember when I was in your situation, there was a lot of conversations that I was required to have in the fall with other scouts or other, GM, whoever else is coming to talk to you, but you also had to keep in mind, like, hey, I have a job to do. I have to go out there and I have to play the game of baseball. How have you been able to compartmentalize those two things, right? And at the end of the day, say, you know what, I came here, it's my junior year. I'm not worried about the draft. I'm worried about going out there, winning a championship, because I believe the team that y'all have has a real chance to go and win the World Series.
The biggest thing, how we talk about when we have some special meetings about, again, the mental aspect of the game, because it's the most important. One of the things that stuck with me is kind of that last dance element. So this is the last time I'm ever going to play with these dudes in this kind of on this team, no matter what, like whether I come back next year, no matter what, like this team is it. So it's simply our last dance. So it's kind of just taking it like that, like playing every game like this is our last one sort of thing. Like this is my last chance with this team to do something special.
So you talk about that stuff. How has it been for you? Let's be honest. Like you're in year 3 now. So you're an older statesman, right? Like you're a junior.
The vet.
You're the vet on the team. You're one of the vets on the team. How has it been for you kind of stepping into that, I don't know if you could say vocal, but more of a quote-unquote leadership role on and off the field? Guys are looking up to you. They've seen these freshmen that have come in, have seen you on TV, watched you succeed for 2 years now. They're looking up to you, whether you believe it or not. How have you taken on that kind of a leadership role?
It's definitely been a little different for me getting into that role, because I've kind of been like a action sort of leader. But now this year, it's got to be a little bit more vocal. It's got to be, telling guys like that's not how we do things around here, or that is how we do things around here. It's kind of stepping up first in line when it's something that we went over last year, because this is something that's a part of our culture. This is something, whether it's base running, the way we run bases, or the way we hit with 2 strikes. Like that's 2 big aspects of culture that defines a team. So stepping into those roles and kind of succeeding and showing these young guys that this is the way we do things, this is how it should be when I leave, sort of thing. Like kind of leaving it better than I came in.
Yeah. They asked Cruz. Sorry, I was trying to think of his name. They asked Dylan Cruz.
Wow, you forgot Dylan Cruz's
I was
name?
thinking of his first name. Jeez. I didn't want to just go Cruz because I don't know him that way.
Disrespect.
I've been talking to DC, and he was telling me that Jay Johnson wanted him to pick up some of the leadership role, and it feels like he wasn't a vocal guy either, but that's something that he felt like he had to do with his role in the team. Is probably going 1-1 in the draft. You're in that same category, probably being a first-round pick. Is that something that y'all feel like you would have done without Jay Johnson, or is it something that he feels like he asked y'all to do after last year? Whenever, kind of the same thing that you said, where last dance, and you could see Jay Johnson on the podium after the season ended last year. He's like, this is not what I thought was going to happen at all. And so it feels like y'all are kind of taking that in as like the message of, we're like, it's the last dance, it's championship or bust almost.
Right. I mean, whether we like it or not, whether we're ready or not, like he said, these younger dudes coming in, even these transfers that have been looking at LSU, like they've seen us on TV. Like they see the cameras always on us. They're always talking about us. So we have to kind of show how LSU does things, sort of thing. So we know, whether he told us or not, we knew it was our job this year to kind of do that, step into that light, step out of our comfort zone a little bit, and kind of steer this in the right direction.
Let's move on to something a little bit different than just baseball, right? It's your job to talk about, what LSU is, and kind of show them the ropes, show them around town, let them know what to do, what not to do. Obviously this LSU football season has been pretty electric and it's been pretty fun. That game this past weekend was pretty fun. I know y'all had a scrimmage the next day, which is tough. That's a grinder move by Coach Jay Johnson. But
we got to talk to him. We got to talk to him.
That was tough right there. Like, I felt that was tough. It's tough. Did y'all get to enjoy the game on Saturday?
When was it last called knowing that you had practice the next day? When was it like, boys, we got to pack this thing in, or just tomorrow's going to be a doozy?
No, it was kind of like he told us. We had practice that day. So we had a meeting before we left, and he told us, want to have fun, enjoy all that, but know that baseball's y'all's job right now. Like, y'all can't go out like a normal student. Like, we're not normal students. Like, we have a job here at LSU. So, he lets us have fun. We have fun. This isn't kind of like like we're not.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's good though. That's a good mix because y'all need to be able to go enjoy it because when LSU football is good, obviously it makes everything else a lot better, right? Were you at the game or did you watch it on TV?
Yeah, I was at the game.
Did you go on the field?
No comment.
Yeah, that's good. I would have been there too. I mean, shit, y'all are right there on the front row anyway. It's easy. It's the easiest spot to get on there. You know what I mean?
You always have to. It's a health concern if you're just blocking people up.
Yeah,
you
don't want to get stampeded over.
Yeah.
You have a lot of guys obviously that came in right from different areas.
On the field, straight to the apartment.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not there. Nope. You have a lot of guys that came in LSU that didn't really know what to expect. They transferred in from another university. How cool has it been? Because you obviously are born and bred Louisiana. You understood what LSU was about. You've seen, huge football games. You've seen huge baseball games at LSU. Some of these guys have not. How cool has it been for you guys to take them around, bring them to the football games, and them get to experience something that happened last Saturday?
Oh, yeah, no, it's awesome. Especially, I want to say, when we bring the recruits here.
Yeah.
And you see their eyes open wide, and they're like, whoa, I've never experienced something like this. I'm like, yeah, it's like this every weekend.
This ain't going away. This ain't going
4 months straight, baby.
Especially when we're good. You don't want to leave.
You should see the baseball stadium.
Their eyes just light up. You can see them like, oh, I want to come here, sort of thing. And even the older dudes, or the dudes that are already here, like, you see him experiencing this the first time. Like, I remember taking Paul out for the first time to a football game, and, dude, he had the time of his life.
I love that.
Like,
I love that.
It was just different. So it's awesome. Yeah,
That's how it should be, man. Dude, I know you got something going on in the next hour or so I appreciate your time. Any of the boys have any other questions?
No, that's it, man.
Man, you're awesome. As always, you're one of our first interviews ever in the other studio. We got a new studio. So once
one of our favorites too.
One of our favorites, yes, one of our favorites. Once, see our guy here, Lloyd, he compared you to Anthony Rizzo.
I did
last year,
I
right?
By it.
I said, well, he's a little more athletic than Rizzo. That's a little unfair, right? And so, but
I was talking about his approach and his defensibility.
I dropped the 2020 on you today.
That's right.
Yeah, drop 2020, prove him right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have seen the past 2 years. I'm working for 6 and 5.
I don't know if you've seen the past 2 years.
Dude, you're awesome, bro. And the closer the baseball season gets, the more we'll have you on. You can come in studio anytime you want. I'm looking forward to seeing this new approach, this new mindset at the plate work out for you because it's working out for you in the fall. Can't wait to see it carry over into the spring. Good luck, bro, and we'll stay in touch.
Continued health, too, man. Stay
healthy.
Sure.
Hi, bro. I was trying to get it out of him. Trying to get a little LSU football action out of him.
Oh, you know he was there.
I knew they were there.
Yeah, absolutely. It would take.
I love that Jay allows him to do that because he's, hey, listen, I don't give a
there.
shit. I don't give a shit what you do. Just know. Show up on tomorrow and be ready to perform. That's all that matters. You can go out. You can do whatever you want to do. Have fun.
It's a very pro approach.
And you can only do that if you trust your guys.
Yeah.
He obviously trusts his guys. I don't think people understood. I don't think people seen Paul Skeens. Is it Paul? Paul Skeens, right? Yeah. I don't know if people saw, but he basically hit 100 miles an hour.
They're going to find out he's an avatar in the spring. Yeah, that's what they're gonna find
you'd
out.
imagine He's a first rounder. You'd imagine Dylan's obviously a first rounder. You'd imagine Tre Morgan's a first rounder. You'd imagine, I think
future.
Well, let's just go actual first rounders. You would imagine that Thatcher Hurd, is he a sophomore or junior this year? I don't know. But you also have draft eligible sophomore who's in the Cape throwing really hard. Grant Taylor, I think he's a draft. I think maybe not. You also have Ty Floyd, who's apparently he's been dealing. Has potential to sneak up into the first round.
He's been the quiet name this fall too.
They have a lot of talent. You have Tommy Tanks. He's not coming out this year, but you have guys there that. I mean,
I don't
have a lot of talent.
I don't know. Obviously, like I'm not very entrenched in every other college baseball, I guess, lineup and roster. It's very hard for me to believe that there's 1 to 2 that's more talented than the one that they have right now.
I mean, that we've talked about it before. Every time a baseball guy comes on, we talk about this.
Like you mentioned the outfield earlier, we didn't even speak about Joe Bear.
Right. Guy hit 18 homers,
almost
last year
20 homers last year.
Yeah.
Like we didn't even speak about him, and that's no slight to him, but it's literally like that's how deep they are.
Yeah.
And decisions are gonna have to be made, and things are gonna have to be done, but that's how deep they are.
I mean, we talk about all the time the one matchup that everybody's looking forward to is when Tennessee comes to LSU next year, obviously, because Tennessee's got a ton of talent. They have a potential 1-1 pick in their pitcher.
Yeah.
So that'll be. I would have to imagine that every scout within this area, with every scouting director, every GM,
every agent.
I mean, it's going to be absolutely insane the amount.
The baseball world will be here.
That'll be the biggest game of the time.
The biggest weekend.
I mean, of the year probably. Like,
unless they play. Asked about.
We were going to, but they'll come back on. It's just I didn't want to ask too much about future stuff because it's so far away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that matchup is going to be very highly.
A lot of eyes.
Anticipated.
Anticipated, and it's going to be a sought-after ticket, obviously here because of everything that's happened over the last couple of years with Tennessee and LSU and a little bit of the chippiness. But I mean, you have the 2 potential 1-1s going up against each other, which can be pretty insane. So, looking forward to it. Always like to sprinkle a little baseball talk in the football season, especially on a Wednesday. The news cycle is a little bit, at a lull. You've talked LSU football Monday and Tuesday. You're still talking it. We're still previewing the Arkansas game, so we have LSU football talk still coming up. But sprinkle a little baseball in because
you can only celebrate in Alabama for so long.
Basketball opening nights tonight. LSU basketball.
They just started. I'm over here watching.
They just teed it off. I got tipped it off.
22.
I got a text about an over/under to take in the game, but by the time I got the text, the over/under was 2 points less than what he sent to me. So
that's no good. How did the women play on Monday night?
They scored a few points, I think.
Really?
I think they scored 125.
That's a good start. I've seen worse.
There was a girl that was her first day there, scored 31. No big deal.
Flage?
No.
And the Angel Reese?
Angel Reese scored 31.
Well, Flage had her first game, and I think she dropped 25. And then Angel Reese played in her first game. She gets 33. I think she had 20 in the first. What do they do, quarters?
Yeah, quarters.
First quarter. I think they do halves in men's basketball, quarters in women's.
Yep. And then Kim Mulkey's got the number 1 recruiting class coming in next year.
With the number 1 player in the country coming in.
From Louisiana.
Boy. Tell me if she comes here if Kim Mulkey's not here.
Probably not. You would imagine that there's a national championship in the very near future in college women's basketball.
They're a deep tournament team now. That's where they are.
I mean, they're back to the mid-2000 LSU teams where they're Final Four finals every year.
Yeah, never could win the big one.
They will.
Tennessee buzzer beater, half court.
I rember that.
Me too.
Crazy.
Crazy.
But I think the men's basketball team is going to be good.
I'd like to see it.
I think I would like to watch them play, but I think that they're in very good hands with Coach McMahon. I think he was a good choice. He's brought in a ton of talent. He continues to get talent. The recruiting class they have coming in next year is pretty good. So LSU sports are in a good spot. LSU sports are in a very, very good spot. New Orleans Saints are not in a very good spot. It doesn't seem like.
Oof, no.
They're still in contention to win the division. They're still.
Some would say
they are 1 game back,
mathematically,
which is very nuts. They're 3-6. The leader is 4-5 in the division. They play everybody in the division again, so they have the ability to right the ship. Now, there's a lot to be righted because Monday Night Football was not fun. It was not good.
Just talk about you're gonna. What is there to say about the Saints?
They're not very good.
I mean, and you don't have your first round pick.
And you don't have your first round pick.
There's the wind, murmurs, whispers. DA might be out after 1 year.
I know
We said it.
We've been talking about that. It's just, what do you do? Here's my question: where do you go from here, right? Because you do have some pieces in place. You have to go get a quarterback. But is there a free agent quarterback? You're not going to be able to draft one. So is there a free agent quarterback out there that you can go out and get? Is there another guy that is on a roster that you like that you want to go and try to develop? Like, I'm not saying you're going to go out and get them, but you have to go out and get a guy that you can build around. And you don't want it to be, it's not a 1 year guy. You want to go out and get a guy now that you can have for multiple years. Whether he's been in the league for a little bit. No, not Russell Wilson. I do not want him in our facility at all. But if you want to go get a young guy, maybe there's a young guy on a team that somebody already has that you want to go out and try to get.
Jameis checks all those boxes, but he just hasn't been
He hasn't
injured.
been healthy, and he's healthy now, and they haven't put him back in. I don't know how healthy he is.
Healthy.
Do you go out and trade for?
I don't think he is either.
I mean, he's getting broke his back.
If the Panthers go out and draft a quarterback next year in the first round, do you go get Matt Corral? Say, okay, maybe they spent a third rounder on Matt Corral last year. Do you go and get him? Maybe develop him. I'm not saying he's the guy, but you have to go out and get somebody that you can develop and have a franchise quarterback because we've seen what happens when you don't.
I think the bigger issue is you need to find somebody that can develop a quarterback.
That too.
That's where, you can swing and miss on as many quarterbacks as you want, but when it comes down to it, you need a coach with a system that works. Look what happened with Mac Jones from last year to this year, and then McDaniels gets fired in Oakland. So that was he's obviously not built for the head coaching role. I guess this is his second swing and a miss. But you saw the Patriots' offense change drastically without him.
Is he going to go back to New England?
I think so. I really do. I think Bill Belichick got him fired. And he's like, all right.
I mean, Bill Belichick didn't get him fired, but is he going to go back to New England?
Yes, absolutely.
I saw something a while back that was saying, what if this is all a huge ploy in Josh McDaniels' mind of getting
the Patriots job,
of getting Derek Carr out of there? Maybe you don't believe in Derek Carr. Maybe you believe in that job, that space, that opportunity. But maybe they wanted to be the ones to draft a quarterback and bring him in.
Yeah, but he's not there
cost
anymore
him his
now.
job.
Who's not what?
He got
fired today.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels got fired today.
When?
Today. Early this afternoon.
Well, I didn't see any of that. I don't know.
Wait, did I get fooled by the internet?
Oh, did you?
I didn't see any of that. What?
Now, see?
Not fired. Tweet from parody account.
Jesus
Damn it.
Christ.
I mean,
Damn
are you kidding me right now?
Oh,
Jesus
well.
Christ.
Like, what? I didn't see any of that. I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, anyways,
I got Schefter.
the whole point is you need to get a guy to...
Fuck you. Elon, fix Twitter. Jesus.
You need to get a guy to develop quarterbacks. I agree with that, right? And so, they tried to go within the culture and within the team last year, and
you're welcome.
You got
I don't know how many more people you're going to tell that to.
Yeah.
Nobody. I just talked to you two guys, really. A couple sports takes. Everything else is sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby.
Jesus. It's going to be a big overhaul, I think.
I think so. Dennis
Please,
Allen is probably...
Sean Payton, come back, please.
He's going to the Chargers, right?
You think?
But how long have I been saying that?
You said
Forever.
that from the beginning.
Been saying that. I've been saying sneakily, just watch. Under the radar, they're going to underperform again this year for whatever the reasons may be. Like, I truly feel like guys like, you take a guy like Keenan Allen, right? He's been long respected in the league as a dog, right? He's been out for, 5 weeks with a hamstring. But while he's out, he's tweeting about how he doesn't agree with the calls that they're making and stuff during the game.
Right.
I feel like guys like that is like, dog, I got enough clout in this league. I've done enough in this league. I'm not playing for this dude anymore.
Well, and he said his hamstring got worse during the bye week, which is not a great... I mean, obviously the medical staff already tried to kill Tyrod Taylor when they stabbed him in the heart. But if you get Sean Payton, that's probably the first department he'll clean out. I know he has very specific people he likes in very specific roles in the medical staff. So if Sean Payton gets his full autonomy like he likes, I'm sure he would love to do that to the Chargers.
Hopefully they give us some assets.
Yeah, but
Maybe we get our first round pick back.
I think they'll be on his
ain't giving
first.
him up.
They ain't giving Herbert up. He ain't going there for if Herbert.
Go ahead, give me your first
Kidding me?
rounder.
Yeah.
You can have him.
Yeah.
You can have Sean Payton if you want to give us your first rounder. Give us a first round pick back, please, because they need one.
Yeah.
They don't have one.
Yeah.
They need one. There's some quarterbacks that I wouldn't mind them drafting coming out, but I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think that if he makes it through the season, I don't think that head coach makes it through the offseason. That's just my guess.
We shall see. We shall see.
Would he go to Green Bay? Sean
For
Payton?
what?
I don't think that. Maybe that guy in Green Bay does get fired. He's not going to Green Bay though.
He ain't getting fired.
He's not sitting that cold.
God, are y'all serious right now?
I don't know.
What would make y'all think? What's his name? LaFleur.
Yeah.
Why would he be getting fired?
They stink.
Who do they have?
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Part of the reason.
Aaron and who? Who's he gonna throw to
That's
himself?
Part of the
You got
reason.
Cobby.
Like, go get some people.
Well, they couldn't go get anyone because Aaron asked for $50 a year, and he told them he wasn't going to do it until late. So their best receiver said, "Hey,
I get
I'm
that
out."
part. I do get that.
Like
part.
that has nothing to do with LaFleur. A lot of this is on Aaron, but like that coach is good, dude. They just literally don't have anything there.
I agree that they don't have
the cupboard
anything.
is bare. That's like us last year when we were running with the 3s and 4s.
No, I agree, but that always falls on. I mean, they're not going to blame Aaron.
They're
They paid him.
They're
so.
not. Yeah, okay. Well, somebody's got to go, or something's got to change. But he ain't going to go. What are you going to do?
Rodgers.
Bring in a new system for
agree.
Aaron's last year for these young kids to learn a new one.
But you've seen crazier
Rodgers
things.
is going to retire.
You've seen
this
crazier
year.
things. The Colts hired a guy who's never coached before. Just a very good player. So, seen crazy things. Jeff Saturday,
Do you see his
I feel
record as
bad.
a coach?
I feel bad for Jeff Saturday because he's a great person. Everybody that talks about Jeff Saturday talks about how good of a person he is, how cerebral he was as a center. He's one of the all-time greats for the Colts. But they always say, well, he doesn't have any coaching experience. He's getting cooked on socials. He's getting cooked with the media. But they're not cooking him. They're cooking the Colts' decision to hire him. But now all eyes are on him, and he's in.
There's literally one positive take I've heard from anyone anywhere about this whole situation is, what if the coach thought, because apparently he was already still on staff, like as an advisor, so he knows a good bit about the organization as it is right now currently. Apparently, like, they were like, well, what if they hired him to come and run this ship, to be there, to be in it, to be around it every day, to when the season's over, he can sit down with the owner and say, hey, this is what you need to change, this is what you need, this is what you suck at, this is what you're good at, this is what needs to be gone. And then that's where he's out.
Right. And
I was like, look, that's
say,
cool, but that's still a little much.
Or like hiring a guy knowing that he's only you're only hiring him for the interim job. You're not gonna have the head job, right? That would be a thing. Like, hey, we're gonna go someone from outside, and we're gonna hire him, and we're just hiring an interim coach. We're
like
not
hiring
saying,
a consultant firm, basically.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
Right. But which I thought, okay, maybe that's the way they're gonna go. But then Jim Irsay comes back out and says that we hope that this is for this year and beyond.
Well, I mean,
So,
I feel
like
like he kind of has to say that because in the weird event that somehow Jeff Saturday went 8-0 or 6-2, it'd be hard to whack him, right? He can't whack him.
Look, maybe,
So I think like he has to say that, but I don't think he really means.
Yeah,
I don't think he really means.
maybe bringing Jeff Saturday in makes their offensive line a lot better because their offensive line was supposed to be their strength and it hasn't been very good. So I don't know.
It'd be a hell of a turnaround from Jeff Saturday to go from 3-7 in high school ball to winning the rest of his.
3-7 in high school.
Yeah.
Was he really when he coached in high school?
See, I just have an NFL mind. I don't understand these high school principles.
Tough, but the whole point is we've seen crazier things. I don't know what's gonna happen. I just would like when I took the over/under of combined wins between the Saints and LSU, I was banking on the Saints
being the better,
having more wins than LSU,
or at least very very much the same. Like
win me 6 games.
Now they win 5. It looked like we're gonna win it.
I don't see if LSU. I mean, the Saints can get to 5.
And that's 2 more. I think they can get to 5.
Do you just go straight Taysom at quarterback?
That's also a question.
Because that's what I would do. That's the one their offense looks the best.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I went. You remember Taysom was a starter for like what 2 or 3 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
I went and watched one of those games like in person. It is. He's like the guy that can just throw the fastball but doesn't have the breaking ball. Like he doesn't have like touch with balls.
No.
Like he was going to miss those.
Well, they also didn't play him.
It's tough.
They didn't play to his strengths as a quarterback. They made him sit in the pocket and throw the ball. They didn't use him as a runner like they do now. I don't know if he's the quarterback, but I think he needs to get more touches.
Just like I told y'all, I don't understand on this team right now and how it hasn't been this way from the start. It's almost like they're like resistant against it because they don't want to seem like gimmicky. But I don't understand how when they get to 3rd and 4, 2nd and 4 or less, how is he not on the field more than 50% of the time for those? And playing quarterback for a lot of them. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like,
he's listed as tight end, so like just put him on the field.
But it doesn't matter. They put him on.
But that's the point. Put him on the field. Like he can block.
Yeah.
He's done it before. Like why is he not playing?
Like, there's so many times where it's like, okay, one game he's like heavily in the game plan, and then he's absent for 2 games, and you just like, we don't think we could use him this week.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I guess he's not part of it. He's
week?
Not very. I guess he doesn't have full grasp of the route tree. Like that's why he can't.
we don't need him to. Let him do the Taysom shit. Like.
Right.
He can fall forward for 3 downs for 3 yards. He does it every time he touches the ball.
And I think that's where kind of the NFL is trending with quarterbacks that have limited skill sets. You see it in Chicago. You see it in Atlanta.
Whoa. I don't know if they have. I wouldn't say he has limited. I think that they're playing to his strength right now and let him develop the other side
so
later.
he's limited. Right?
They're all limited when they come out.
Yeah,
some
that's
sort
what I'm
of
saying.
way.
So,
like
but
his
they've
ability,
changed.
he has the ability. I mean, he's
for
very
sure.
good.
Yeah, I agree because you didn't see Justin Fields run this much at Ohio State as a drop back passer.
Right.
But what they're doing in Chicago is like, look, we're not getting wins with you trying to play it traditionally the way that we'll get to that later. They are developing him as a quarterback. For Taysom Hill, what you see is what you're getting. Like, he isn't going to get better as a passer, but you can build around that in a way where you run a Chicago-style offense, Lamar, Raven-style offense.
For right now.
And the Saints have the personnel to do that.
But I just get the feeling, whether it's right or wrong, I honestly think it's wrong. I just get the feeling that their coaching staff right now is resistant against letting him do that as much as they probably should, just because they kind of feel like it's gimmicky. Like, oh, this isn't going to work in the long run. This isn't going to be our identity in 3rd and short because we can do this. Bro, that shit works. And you got a guy that is literally a wrecking ball.
The one game that you use them a lot.
It's the best the Saints have looked all year.
Yep. He scored a bunch of points, and they didn't score any. No, that wasn't that game.
The thing
against Atlanta.
I'll say this, dude. The thing about Taysom, when he's on the field and literally it's like short yardage situations, there's a feeling in the crowd on the field. I feel like the defense feels it. Like he's gonna get the yardage, whether it's through pass or whether it's through the run. Like they get the yardage. Why? Because he's a difference maker. Like it is what it is.
We'll talk more about that, but I know a lot of people want to just hear us talk about the LSU Arkansas preview, which we talked about a little earlier. We talked more about the LSU side, the mental part of going into this weekend after a big emotional win. I talked a little bit about Arkansas. Don't know as much about Arkansas as our next guest. He is in the waiting room.
On deck?
He's on deck. I always say that. I mess it up, and you correct me. Thank you. Mm-hmm. We're going to take a minute break, get him situated, and we'll be back. You're watching Mik'd Up, brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Today's show is brought to you by Dos Equis. Here in Louisiana, we like to have a great time. If you're looking to be the life of the tailgate, check out Dos Equis mini kegs. Hold 16 beers, easy to tap, easy to pour, easy to chill. Check it out. Become the life of the party. You're welcome. On field, which is fine. Maybe he just did it to shake it up. They're fine. Like, I'm not worried about that. But what he did do is he allowed Josh Pearson, who's a freshman, he gave him a couple starts, and he took advantage. He had 2 homers on Sunday. He had some big hits on Saturday. And we have 2 young guys in Stevenson and Pearson who I think are going to be very, very, very good in the outfield. And now they're starting to kind of force their way into the lineup. And Pearson obviously doesn't seem like he's going to be taken out of the lineup anytime soon based off of what they did. What happened? There's some background noise going on.
Something happened.
There's some background.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive. We had a little LSU Arkansas talk a little earlier. I'm not as educated in the Arkansas department as this next guy. I appreciate Tyler Crass coming on. Tyler, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Happy to do it.
Look at this, on the move. Look at you.
Yeah. You got to get your steps in somehow in the TV game, you know?
I respect that. Look at that. Nice. Let's get to it, man. Look, Arkansas came into this season with a lot of expectations, very high expectations. They started the season off. They were playing well. Wow, that was good. That was a good sequence right there. That was nice. I think they've had some injuries. KJ Jefferson's been hurt. I think if you ask the coaching staff and the players, they probably have underachieved to this point. What's the feeling like in the locker room and around the program right now?
I think the feeling in the locker room versus the feeling on maybe social media is very different, because if you were to look at the Arkansas fan base right now, everything is burning down.
Fans are very reasonable. Fans are very reasonable.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have the same in Louisiana. Arkansas fans, this is kind of what they've got in terms of sports. And 2 weeks ago, everything was great. Everything was hunky-dory coming off that BYU win. Now, not so much, and they're talking about this like it's Chad Morris, which it's not. I mean, that's I think the first thing to clear up here. This is not what Arkansas was 3 years ago when you brought in a guy who couldn't win an SEC game and lost home games to North Texas and San Jose State and Western Kentucky, featuring a quarterback who he essentially cut. That's not what's going on here. It's a Hog team that's reeling, that's for sure. But I think at this point, I mean, the locker room, they've made it pretty clear that they see and they hear what's going on out there. And I think that it almost feels like they're ready to prove Arkansas fans wrong. So I think that's a lot of the motivation for them going into this week.
Which is kind of scary for LSU, obviously, because LSU goes down to Arkansas usually, and Arkansas gives them a game, usually beats them. Not usually, but in the past they've had some. No matter what the records are, this game always seems to be kind of a crapshoot. Does that kind of give them? Is that being talked about as far as like the history of this matchup? And I know they play for the big ass trophy that nobody can carry on the field, so they just keep it on there. Is that important? Is that something that's been talked about?
Yeah, the Hogs in their press conferences this week, the players have talked specifically about that trophy, about the boot, because that was kind of the whole deal last year with Sam Pittman was Arkansas's got 3 trophy games against A&M, against LSU, and then for whatever reason against Missouri, the Battle Line Trophy. I don't like to talk about that. But the real rivalry is Arkansas fans and Mizzou fans trying to prove harder that they care less about it. It's hilarious. I love it. Nice. But I think if Arkansas fans had to pick, this is the one they care the most about. It is the boot. And getting it back last year was Sam Pittman's huge focus. Was we got to win these trophy games. It was the first time, I think, since the advent of them that they won all 3. I mean, you guys remember last year, obviously, Cam Little with the field goal in overtime taken. That was huge. I mean, that kind of was one of the highlights of the season for Razorback fans. So, yeah, the trophy and this game particularly is something they get up for, even if it's 11 a.m. in Fayetteville. And I just talked to our meteorologist. We got a high of 44 degrees during game time. But
sunny?
Wet.
Partly cloudy, so that could be brutal. I got to be down there on the sidelines
Still
filming.
daytime is better. Still daytime, better than a night game.
Yeah, well, if you're at LSU, I mean, you're used to that, I feel like, in Death Valley. So maybe, yeah, like you said,
degrees.
It's going to be a whole different kind of environment, but Hog fans will be up and ready. I mean, they've been angry drinking since last Saturday, so they'll be prime and ready.
And LSU fans have been happy drinking.
Yeah, LSU fans have been happy drinking. Hopefully not on the jubilation hangover, more on like, hey, we got to figure out something. What happened? Like you talked about last week. What happened last weekend? Obviously, Liberty is not like it's a terrible team, right? Liberty is a good football team. They've won in the past. They've won in the recent past. What happened last weekend? Why do you think that Arkansas couldn't pull it out? I know they had a chance at the end to tie it, but what do you think went wrong?
Right. I mean, and you're Arkansas. You're an SEC team that, yeah, Liberty was the ranked one, but the Hogs were still 2 touchdown favorites. You shouldn't need a 2-point conversion at the end of the fourth quarter to tie things up. I mean, what went wrong was the offense played its worst game of the season by far. I mean, they went into the locker room down 21-3 thanks to a 50-yard field goal that they only got because the Liberty penalty put them in field goal range. And long and short of it is KJ Jefferson. I mean, it's easy to say the offense goes as far as the quarterback, but that's certainly the case here. And KJ didn't look like himself. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury ever since the A&M game. The coaching staff finally cleared it up and said it's a bruised collarbone, which made sense. I mean, he looked like he was like kind of trepidatious to throw the ball downfield. They had multiple 3rd and 10+ yardage plays where he threw the ball 4 or 5 yards, and that's not going to get it done. I mean, he was questionable even as of game time. And now this week, we're seeing the same thing. I mean, Sam Pittman said Monday, he felt a lot better than last week. So he threw a lot more on Monday than he did pretty much all last week in practice. Then he woke up Tuesday and he was really sore because he had thrown Monday. And he woke up Wednesday and he felt better because he didn't throw on Tuesday, so he's going to throw today. So, I mean, they'll go as far as KJ goes, but if he even plays Saturday is up in the air. And at the same time, when they try to get the running game going, I mean, they've got Rocket Sanders, the guy who, with Tank Bigsby, he probably has 1-2 as far as best running back nicknames in the SEC.
I was about to say, the greatest nickname, probably the greatest.
Great name.
You had Rocket versus Tank too. It was awesome. But yeah, no, and he lives up to it. I mean, I've got the little soundbite clipped up from earlier in the year when Sam Pittman said, that's why his mama named him Rocket, which isn't true. His mama named him Team. But I like to throw it out there. He led the SEC in rushing yards until last week when he couldn't get anything going against Liberty. And Pittman talked afterwards like the Liberty, defensive line was quicker than we could handle. And I mean, you got LSU coming in, they're not going to get slower.
Yeah, that's a little alarming.
Well, what's your take on it? Saturday morning comes. Do you think there is a somewhat healthy version of a KJ Jefferson that's out there, or do you think more of the same of what you got last week, or maybe less?
I mean, it's the catch-22, it seems like, of he needs to not throw in order to feel good, but they need him to throw in order to play well. Because they kind of said that's what happened last week, is he didn't throw in practice, and then they sort of like, all right, he didn't throw in order to get healthy. So when he played in the game, it looked like a guy who hadn't thrown a ball in a week. I mean, that's why that first half was so terrible. So now it's like, all right, we're going to get him to throw in practice more, but that hurts him more. So if I had to guess, I think KJ goes just because Malik Hornsby, the backup, is so raw. I mean, he's the second fastest guy in the team behind wide receiver Bryce Stevens, and he can throw the ball 70 yards if he wants to, but he misses easy 5-yard throws all the time. I mean, the talent is there. He's just really not refined at all. So I think if I had to guess, I think they start KJ, but if it's a situation like last week where I think they went 11 straight possessions without points, they're not going to let it get to that point. If KJ is out there and looks like he can't make the throws 5-6 possessions in the game, they'll go to Hornsby.
And that's what I was going to ask you about is the quarterback situation. If it's not KJ, I wanted to get a preview for LSU fans as to what they can expect from the backup quarterback, because I've seen a couple on the roster. I didn't know if it was solidified, if it was Hornsby, or is it Cade, I believe?
Cade Fortin is the other backup, and you saw against Mississippi State. That's the game KJ didn't play because he was dealing with a concussion, and
that
everyone was
celebrated.
very and then the Alabama Twitter account posted that picture of their players standing over KJ. It was a whole thing. Arkansas Twitter, we could talk for hours about the cesspool that is that, but that's the SEC. Oh man, there's a whole thing. They're going at with the women's basketball teams going back and forth with fans now.
Oh no.
Ooh. Oh gosh, yeah, no, that's geesh. But anyways, yes, you saw the big game. Cade Fortin got the start as their backup quarterback, and the reason that happened was because Malik Hornsby, who had been QB2 most of last season, is just so fast and so dynamic when he gets the ball in space that they've been running a lot of plays at practice with him at wide receiver, with Cade Fortin as the quarterback to try to get him the ball. And then against Mississippi State, that didn't work. So they had to switch to Hornsby at quarterback, and the offense actually kind of started rolling a little bit with Hornsby at quarterback against Mississippi State. They just dug way too deep a hole at that point. And after that game, Sam Pittman said, okay, yeah, that experiment's over. Hornsby's not taking any more reps at wide receiver, which that's a whole waste of an offseason right there as far as quarterback goes, but oh well. So yeah, Hornsby is your QB2. He is ridiculously fast. They'll run lots of plays to try to get him the ball with any sort of running room, and he's got the arm. I mean, he can make throws when he just kind of closes his eyes and chucks it downfield and finds a receiver. It's the short and intermediate game. I mean, he missed a 4th and 3 from inside the 10 against Mississippi State, where the guy's just wide open. Those are the throws that he hasn't proven that he can make, or the ones that you kind of have to. So with Hornsby, I mean, it's all or nothing. It's the Hail Mary with his legs and with his arm.
Obviously, LSU, the way LSU started the season, the way LSU is playing right now, it's a completely different team. They've progressed, week in and week out. Right now, they seem like they're hitting on all cylinders. going into this Arkansas game, obviously there's a bunch of challenges. Arkansas has the ability to play with anybody because they came into the season with a lot of hype. They have a lot of talent. If KJ Jefferson's healthy, they have the ability to do some big things. What does the challenge of an LSU and the way that they're playing football bring to Arkansas? Like, what is something that you as an Arkansas fan who covers Arkansas is like, oh no, like if LSU does this, like I don't think we got a shot.
If LSU scores the ball, which they're going to do, I mean, first of all, it's the third thing. I went to Syracuse. I'm a Syracuse fan, so we don't need to talk about.
Hey, actually, Syracuse that's a solid year.
Yeah, I know. Started 6-0, 0-3 ever since. But
get Lovie Smith back.
Look, ever since Donovan McNabb getting bowl eligible has been the only thing that matters for Syracuse football. And look, basketball season just started. Shout out to that. That's the vibe there. It gets lacrosse season. That's a whole other thing. But no, I mean, look, here's what it comes down to. We haven't even talked about the Arkansas defense yet, and anyone from Arkansas who's watching is probably happy about that because right now the Arkansas defense is bad. They're not going to stop LSU. They played probably their best half of football of the season, the second half against Liberty when they needed to. But I mean, that LSU offense, I mean, Jane Daniels, that's a different monster. And the secondary is, I mean, they lost their best player in Jalen Catalon to a season-ending injury for the second year in a row. And since then, I mean, no one's really been able to fill that void. Their second best player in the secondary is Miles Slusher. He's not going to play because he was arrested on Dixon Street after the loss to Liberty last week.
So everybody handles adversity a different way.
Dixon Street will get.
Is that like, I guess that's like Reggie, so that's like
Tigerland for us, I think. Yeah.
Oh, and
it's the little strip off campus with all the bars. If we want to get real technical, he was on West Street, and anyone who's ever been to Fayetteville will nod their head and go, "Oh yeah, West. That's where the real name is." They're going to be missing their top two guys in the secondary. One who's been gone since week 3 because of injury, and one who got arrested because he tried to pull a police officer off of his friend, another Razorback player who was also getting arrested. It was not a great weekend last week.
Hey, team chemistry's still there. What are you talking about? That's good. Team building.
Exactly. Great teamwork. You like to see the fight, even though they didn't really show it as well on the field. So they're suspended for at least this game. And then as for what that does, the secondary, it's been nonstop. I mean, trying to rotate guys. Their best player in the secondary last week was a freshman named Quincy McAdoo, who was the #1 wide receiver recruit in the state of Arkansas, and who they moved back there because of injuries. And he blocked a punt and had an interception last week. So, I mean, they've got him now as a corner. You've got Dwight McLaughlin, who's probably been their most consistent guy all year, the transfer from LSU. But, I mean, Arkansas swapped DBs. I mean, Joe Fouché, of course, a guy Arkansas fans know and love, or at least loved before he transferred to LSU. And we kind of all talked over the summer about like, oh, it looked pretty even, but now it does not look even. The Arkansas secondary has struggled. And the problem with Arkansas' defense right now is they have to sell out to stop one thing. Right. And if a team can do more than one thing, then they've pretty much been screwed. We saw against Mississippi State. Arkansas tried to do what they've been successful doing against the air raid. You drop 8, you rush 3, and say, okay, you're going to throw every time against us. We're going to defend that. Mississippi State went sure. And I think they set a record for a Mike Leach team at Mississippi State, at least, in terms of rushing attempts, and they outscored Arkansas still. Then against BYU, Arkansas tried the opposite. Sam Pittman said, I don't care if they rush for 400 yards, like make them rush the ball. And they did, and Arkansas won that game, but BYU still put up a bunch of points. So right now, Arkansas is not good enough or healthy enough on defense to stop a complete team. And I don't think LSU is a complete team, but they're certainly better than teams that have had a lot of success against Arkansas.
And on behalf of Baton Rouge, I'd like to, formally apologize for taking Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks from you. We appreciate the trade. The 2-for-1 worked out on our end, yes. But they've been electric. Whenever you talk about those two guys leaving, I was reading some stuff about LSU and Arkansas's players saying we still have a relationship with Fouché, we still have a relationship with Brooks, but it seems like from the fan base's perspective, I would imagine it's not quite the same. I guess it's not probably the same treatment that they're going to get in Arkansas.
Well, yeah, I mean, those guys, it's a locker room. They were all really good friends. They were here for a couple of years. Of course, they still communicate. Of course, I mean, these are guys who've been playing on the same circuit. Just a lot of them are LSU and Arkansas natives, since high school, since Pee Wee football, whatever. So they're going to stay friends. Fans, as you guys know, they tend to feel a bit more betrayed when you transfer, especially if it's in conference and especially if it's to a rival like LSU. So I'd imagine there's going to be some boo birds when those names are announced at Razorback Stadium. But yeah, I mean, among the players, they talked yesterday. We got to talk to players yesterday, and they said, oh yeah, we're still always talking to him. Trey Knox, Arkansas tight end, he's really excited. He's like, yeah, I got to go against him in practice for years, and it's all trash talk back and forth, and now we get to do it in the game. So that'll be fun for them. I'm sure you'll see lots of hugs, maybe pre and post game, but during the game, yeah, Arkansas fans are not going to give them the kindest of receptions.
As far as for a feeling from the staff, from the players inside that building, you talk about the last month of the season as an opportunity to to finish your season strong for whatever your cause may be, and obviously for an up and coming building program like Arkansas is trying to do to get over that hump right now. Coming into this last month of the season is important for them. Do you feel that sense of urgency when you talk to people inside that building about being able to close out that last month of the season on a very strong note and go into a bowl game situation?
Well, they also have the ability to be like dream wreckers, right? Because you play LSU and Mississippi.
Well, and that's what I mean. You start the season with a lot of expectations. It hasn't gone exactly that way, but you are on the verge of getting over the hump. Well, part of getting over the hump is finishing strong and being able to acquire those recruits through seeing what you're trying to do here. Do you feel that sense of urgency in the back half or the back part of the season right here?
Yeah, I think the Liberty game really was a wake-up call as far as that urgency, that motivation goes. Because they had talked a lot. They had that 3-game losing streak this year that, A&M and Alabama and Mississippi State. And the mood then was, well, we had a 3-game losing streak last year, went into the bye, and then won 4 of the last 5 games to finish with 9 wins in a bowl game. Let's do that this year. And then they went out and beat BYU, beat Auburn. It was kind of like, all right, this is going to be just like last year. But last year they had, I think, 15 super seniors, COVID seniors, whatever you want to call them on the team, who were those vocal leaders kind of behind that, who took the team after that 3-game losing streak and said, hey, we got to finish strong. This year kind of felt like they were coasting on, well, we did it last year, let's go out and do it this year. And then against some lesser competition in BYU and Auburn, you started to do it, but it was kind of like, okay, those are the games you should have won. You should have won Liberty as well. You didn't. I think that, it seems like, has kind of woken them up. They're kind of talking less of, well, we did this last year, we can do it this year, and now like, oh, we have to find some leadership from within. Those guys aren't there anymore, who were the vocal leaders last year. And, I mean, KJ is kind of that guy, but it's tough when you don't even know if that guy's going to be out there on the field for you. I mean, they talked last week. I mean, the wide receivers told us that they didn't know who was going to be the starting quarterback last week until about an hour before the game. So, yeah, KJ can still lead from the sidelines, but they've needed to find someone else. And it's kind of, you don't like that it's taken this far into the season for them to realize it, but it does sound like the Liberty game was a wake-up call. You wish, a 3-game losing streak could have been a wake-up call. But, again, when you lose to Alabama, unless you're LSU last week, I guess, you kind of not expect it, but it's not a wake-up call game. You go, okay, we lost Alabama, on to the next one. You lose to Liberty, and it's, oh, man, that was our game that we thought was going to get us bowl eligible. Now we got 3 SEC games against a rival in LSU, and then Ole Miss, who's not a full-on rival, but they've got a weird relationship with Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin, for about 2 hours, everyone thought he was going to come to Fayetteville. I had a whole story I could tell you guys, ready to go, about Lane Kiffin to Fayetteville, right? Waiting to hit that publish button, and then it went to Ole Miss. Yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 of those that we made to be ready. And then
That's the worst.
Oh yeah, you want to be ready to go? There's lots of stuff. I've been here. This will be my 7th season covering the Hogs. I've been through 2 football coaching searches and a basketball one. I've got a lot of stories in the can of guys who didn't get hired. They'll never see the light of day that I worked real hard on. Oh well. We want to see the Eli Drinkwitz to Arkansas one. That's fun.
It's good practice. Good practice.
And you mentioned.
Arkansas.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you mentioned like they had the coaching changes and the turnover at Arkansas. I've been on I don't want to say the hill, but my comparison to what Sam Pittman is just Ed Orgeron in a different polo. And some of the things that you're describing sounds eerily similar to when Ed Orgeron started after LSU lost to Troy. It was kind of like, oh, this is a wake-up call. I feel like I've read this book before, and best of luck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can totally see that as a guy. I'm from Los Angeles, grew up a big UCLA fan, so I remember rooting real hard against Orgeron at USC, but where the guy kind of, the interim, or in Sam Pittman's case, the offensive line coach, someone who's a lifelong, not a head coach who kind of gets that chance to really fully lead a program. The players love him. The fans love him when they're winning, and then he's not fiery enough when they lose. So, yeah, I mean, look, if that if the parallel continues, I think Arkansas fans would trade, mediocrity and having to fire Sam if it means they get a Joe Burrow type and a national championship. So, I mean, they'll take that, sure.
Very good point. Very good point. Now, we are a sports show, a fun show. We also like to dabble in the gambling realm. We're not very good at that. One of our sponsors, Caesar Sportsbook, so
that's why they sponsor us.
Yeah, they help us. We give them a lot of money because of the money that we don't. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because
the person's going to give you money if you're losing that money.
Yeah, you're right, no doubt. And so the line at LSU Arkansas right now is LSU -3, which when it came out, I'm like, oh, that's a little bit of a doesn't seem like it's as high as that we thought it was going to be after you win against Alabama at home and you're ranked 7th in the country.
And they're coming off.
Why do you think that? Obviously, you're not as sharp, you're not in Vegas, but what do you think? Like, do they think KJ Jefferson's going to play?
What don't we know?
Do you like that -3 line? What is your take on that?
I like LSU with that -3
yeah,
line.
No doubt.
That's my take on that. I mean, why is that happening? I mean, an SEC home environment like you've got at Razorback Stadium is going to count for something. Maybe it's the Tigers like to play at night, and this is the morning, but I can tell you from when that was announced, Razorbacks don't like playing in the morning either. Oh, my God. The conspiracy theories abound in Fayetteville when it comes to what the SEC has against the Hogs somehow, despite the fact that, of course, it's the networks making those calls, not the SEC, but whatever. Yeah, no, I mean, I think if a KJ is announced to be out before that, expect that to creep way more towards LSU because, again, Malik Hornsby has a lot of the raw talent, but he's not there yet. Even as it is with KJ, he's not going to be 100%. That much we can guarantee. I like LSU to cover that and more. I mean, I would also, I don't know what the over-under is set for this. That's one where I say hammer the over because, again, this Arkansas defense is bad. Like, bad.
I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to do that right now. Hammer the over. I appreciate your betting expertise on this. I appreciate you, man. I know it's a little later. I appreciate you taking your time, coming on the show, giving us your insight. You've been awesome. Your personality fits exactly what we're trying to do with the show. So thank you. I'd love to have you on again. Maybe talk some basketball. Maybe talk some baseball. I don't know if you cover baseball, but
oh yeah. I've been to Omaha a couple times there with these Hogs.
There we go. We'll have you back on during the baseball season because it seems like LSU baseball is going to be in a good spot. Arkansas is always in a good spot, so that'll be a good matchup. But Tyler, man, I appreciate it. Have a great night, and I want to tell you good luck this weekend, but I don't really hope that y'all lose, but I appreciate your time on the show.
Good luck to me with dealing with the temperatures at Razorback Stadium.
Yes, good luck with the cold.
Layer up.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
Have a good
it.
night. He's great. Great personality.
He knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. Good insight. Knew a lot of what was going on. A lot of personality. He walked right down the hall. That was a nice little, want to sit down?
Very confident in doing this video call thing.
He was very confident.
Yeah.
Seems like he's been on the news.
Strong Wi-Fi there.
Strong Wi-Fi.
I wonder what they pay.
Strong Wi-Fi.
Ours too.
Well, he doesn't seem very confident in Arkansas.
No, that was not a lot of, hey man, this is a sleeping dog, you better let it lie. It is like, this is a total shit show over here
Defense
at
is
Arkansas.
not very good.
Yeah,
The whole secondary
he
is
said
out.
it as nice as he could, but he basically made it sound like it's an absolute zoo there. Right
Boy, it
now.
took him a while to name Dwight McLaughlin, huh?
It did. Well, we had to get through the players that were hurt, the players that were arrested.
Well, the players that were hurt and
transferred.
arrested that were apparently better than him.
Yeah,
Right.
I would have assumed. I haven't watched Arkansas play, but I would assume Dwight was probably one of their better players.
I'd say that 2-for-1 swap was
Nice.
largely won on this
It's
side.
helped out a little bit.
Largely won on this
I
side.
think it's been good. Not saying Dwight wouldn't have been fine playing with us because obviously, but I think we got some pretty good transfer cornerbacks.
I don't
that have
even.
been just fine.
I'm not even comparing it on a person to person, but just what they've done for this team
right.
and what they've done, what he's done for that
And we
team,
have
and
two
where that
starters.
team is, and where this team is.
2 starters to 1 starter,
Yeah, there you
right?
go.
That's basically what happens.
Yeah.
Guys have made both of them have made monumental plays in this.
I'd
You
say-
had Greg Brooks take with the fumble and ripping the ball out in the Auburn, and then you had
Fusha
with the interception in the end
I'd
zone.
say all 3 of them have made huge impacts to the team. Just these 2 have done it to a winning tune, which is different. It's
They're
different.
such vital pieces in what's going
Yeah,
on.
it
with
hits
defense.
different.
But
Yeah.
their defense being that bad and not being able to stop anybody bodes well for us, obviously, because control the game, control the clock, move the ball down, put pressure on a 50% KJ Jefferson or a freshman quarterback who isn't very Polish, it reminds me a little bit about the Auburn guy.
That's
right?
what I was
Auburn
gonna say.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? The Auburn quarterback is super electric athlete.
Bobby.
Maybe doesn't have the arm strength that this guy has, but gave us a little bit of issue a couple of times on some broken plays. But then he went on to say their offensive line was not able to handle Liberty's defensive line because they were a little too quick, according to
Mikye Wingo's
I like that. I like those
Mikye
things.
Wingo. You don't. What about our guy Harold Perkins? Pretty quick, I think.
I think he's.
I like us in that situation.
Yeah,
I'll
BJ's
say
a little
that.
quick.
Yeah.
So obviously.
Oh God, they gotta be dreading this.
But it's
If
a
it
minus
goes
3
normal,
spread, though.
I know that's
It's a
the
minus
only
3
thing that
spread,
hangs me
bro.
up.
I don't know, but Vegas knows something.
I mean, Greg Brooks and Fouché must have known something because they fucking skedaddled, like got straight out of Arkansas as soon as they could. So that should have been probably a signal, like some,
I mean, there's a lot of guys
fortune
getting
telling.
LSU too, though.
Yeah.
They're gonna.
Well, Kelly,
The thing is LSU's going to get their best punch this year.
No doubt.
no doubt, this
You're
is their
getting
season.
you're getting everybody's best punch from here on out. You
Yeah.
have 2 games that usually are both very well played. Now you play at Arky, you play in both of them on the road, and both teams want to beat you. They don't like LSU very much. They want to beat you, and now you have a target on your back because not just because of your name, because of how well you're doing and where you're ranked and what your goals are. They want to be able to go and spoil that, and it's you have to stay focused and you have to stay locked in, right? And there's a lot of things left on the table outside of just wins, right? You want to go out there, and if Jaden Daniels wants to continue this trajectory that he's on to maybe getting invited to New York, which 4 weeks ago that is absurd to even say, and now he's right there in the mix, right? And so
4. You don't have to go back that
Do you
far.
really?
Yeah,
do you
3
think he
weeks.
will? If he continues,
if he continues the pace that he's on,
If
why
they
not?
if they went out and obviously he plays well, you
I mean,
can't
he's
tell
the
me
only-
wouldn't- you
he's
can't
the-
tell me he wouldn't be a top 5 candidate.
He's
for
the
it.
reason why they're here, right? Like he's the reason why LSU is where they
No
are
doubt.
because of his play, and like he's got 1 turnover all year, and he's at the top of the league in terms of touchdowns responsible for.
Yeah.
Right, and yards responsible for. So I mean, at the end of the year, he's probably going to have 1,000 yards rushing, and I don't know how many passing yards he has, but I would assume probably 3,000 yards passing.
Close to it at least.
You know?
But he's gonna have
40 total
I was
touchdowns.
about to say he's
maybe?
gonna have a shit ton of touchdowns too.
Like he has a case to be invited. I'm not saying he's going to win, but you're not going to get invited if you slip up one of these 2 games. Like you're just not, because the whole point of being invited is not only the numbers, but what you've done and the situation you've put LSU in, right? And so, personally, there's no motivation. Obviously, that's not going to be the end-all, be-all because it's about the team. It's about getting to where you want to go. I think the goal of getting to the playoff in the SEC championship game is, what's going to motivate them the most. But
the Heisman ceremony is in December.
yes, it's after the last weekend of the season.
Okay, so before the SEC championship or
After.
No, after it.
After.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That could be the only thing if he has a.
But it's hard. I think from
Come
what
to
I was
Jesus.
told, I think from what I remember from when Joe was doing it is the Heisman candidates are already the voting is done before the SEC championship game.
So they say.
So they say, right? Like everybody talked about Joe's Heisman moment in the Georgia thing, right? I think that just solidified the Heisman.
Yeah, but
I think
that's
that
what
everything
that's
was
what I
already
mean.
voted.
Like so they say. So they say.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, you have 3 more games left on the schedule to go out and shine and ball out and put yourself in a position to get invited to New York.
Because I do have a little future on him.
To what?
Win the Heisman.
What?
Yeah.
When did you do that?
Whenever the odds came out, because that's how I found out.
When he walked out of the stadium Saturday night.
No, I did it before the season. Yeah. But
You did a Jaden Daniels Heisman before the season? Do you do that every year to somebody on LSU's team?
yeah, and I pick him to win the national championship every year. It's not like I have a good feeling. I'm just like, if they play good.
Well, yeah, the odds are probably.
Lloyd's got purple and gold boxers on right now too. If you wanted to know.
I know. They're up purple and gold on Sunday.
What are the odds?
I'm about to find out. But talk amongst yourselves because it was a long time ago.
But I mean, I hope he wins. I don't think that he's going to win the
But
Heisman.
it's a year where.
But he deserves
not
to
a
get.
lot of-
Yeah, right. He deserves to get invited. I think Stroud's probably going to win it. I would have to imagine. He's putting up really good numbers. He was there last year. He's a runner-up last year. There, Ohio State. I would imagine he's a front runner. Hooker maybe too, but if Ohio
He's got an
State's
outside
better-
chance if they play
Yeah,
strongly
if
throughout
Ohio-
these last 3.
If Ohio State's better,
Yeah.
unless C.J. Stroud lays an egg against Michigan and plays absolutely terrible, I think he's probably the front runner. I would say Hooker's probably number 2, and then after that, it's anybody can be invited.
Plus 6,000.
Wow. Would you put $10 on it?
No, lower. Five to
So you got this one before the season.
December 11th. That's when the Heisman is.
It only makes
it in August 16th.
It only makes me laugh because Mikey's last parlay was plus 7,000.
Yeah. This is gonna hit.
My parlay didn't hit.
We were talking,
close.
and it is no shade on it, but we were talking about Jaden before the year as if we didn't know if he was going to be the starter, and that's plus 6,000.
Yeah.
This is plus 7,000.
Hey, listen, that's why I did it. Put a little sprinkle. I didn't put a lot of money on it, but
Yeah, failed immediately.
failed immediately.
Well,
Didn't
that
get out
is-
the first quarter.
I don't think any of those hit. Actually,
Reverse parlay.
not one of those hit.
You technically could have hit the parlay.
I wouldn't have gotten the first touchdown score. I wouldn't have
Thought of that.
I wouldn't have put likely in as the. I wouldn't be very likely to pick likely.
No.
But I did like the call.
Yeah, why not? You
Yeah.
know, it happens. It's great. Something to talk about. If
Mark
not,
Anderson.
you laugh at it. Mark Anderson.
I don't know why I said that. I was thinking of
I
the
said,
tight
who's
end.
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
Yep, he was not playing.
I know that's what I'm saying, but they called him Baby Mark. Likely.
Oh, yeah.
So
He was good. He's
I
athletic.
like where you were thinking there.
Yeah. I didn't put him though.
Who called him Baby Mark?
Lamar.
Interesting.
Interesting.
You don't have to. Interesting. You don't
Lloyd
have,
saw that on page 60.
probably.
Hey, what's the LSU Alabama score? I mean LSU basketball score.
It was-
LSU Alabama won 32-31. If you didn't know.
That's not to say it. There was a 1-point game. LSU basketball. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
It's on ESPN Plus.
27-22.
Yes.
LSU's up 27-22 in
How
the
much
first
time?
half.
They still in the first half?
5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first half. Hey, listen, there's going to be some ups and downs early in the season. It's kind of like the LSU football team because you have a lot of new guys that are coming in. Not as many returning guys, but a few returning guys. All these guys have to learn how to play with each other. New coach, new scheme. I think basketball is a little easier to build that chemistry and play well with each other than football, obviously, because it's a little bit more. You can use a little bit more of your pure athleticism on the field. And football it's a little bit harder to do that. But I think the team's going to be good. 30-24. No?
The spread was -22.
No, I didn't take that. I took the under though.
Okay, nice. I like the under call.
But I took
Trying
the
to
under. It
find
was a
it.
140. I took the under at 138.5.
I still like how you still took it though, because
And Wani's got 9 points. Look, he's gonna be a scorer this year, maybe.
they said that he's gonna have a massive year.
Love that.
McMahon being able to get back Adam Miller
Adam Miller's got
and be
8,
able to get
2
and
threes.
Wani to come back. That was really what set up his first year to be not a just total disaster. To be able to keep some LSU guys in the boat as opposed to everybody transfers out. We're starting totally over.
Right.
To be able to get Adam Miller was a huge coup, but Wani was the one that started to be like, hold on, I'm stopping the dominoes. Like, I'll stay. And that's what you just needed some
And
positivity.
you got a couple guys from Murray State. One of them is a preseason second team All SEC.
We will learn a lot about
KJ Williams, right?
Yes.
Is it Williams? Yeah.
I think so. Sounded right.
And so they're gonna be good. But there's the non-conference schedule is gonna be a good way, and obviously you're probably not gonna find out how good they really are until they get into the SEC play. But I love basketball. I love LSU basketball. I love going to the game. So I'm looking forward to it because there's still a lot of hype in the games.
You ready to get to the segments?
Yeah, it's a good show today.
Was quick moving show.
Quick moving show.
I don't know if it moved. It just felt like it went. Those conversations went well. Trey gave us a lot of insight, man.
Trey looked happy,
It's a Wednesday.
healthy.
Not a lot of conversation going on in sports.
Comfortable.
We try to talk to NFL. I know a lot of people that watch our show don't like to listen to us talk NFL football, but we like NFL football. Seggies.
Oh yes. Oh wait, where did my curtain call go? I have my fault, not my fault.
Which is brought to you by
Doe's Eat Place.
Dozy. There we go. You did it right.
Yeah, now it's ingrained in my brain. But this is unbelievable. You have a record.
Conspiracy theorist Lloyd.
You have a record Powerball
Oh boy.
going on, and for some reason,
Ended up being over $2 billion.
yeah. But this is drawn live every time it's time for the Powerball. I don't ever play the Powerball. I don't know why I gamble on everything else, but it just feels like that's not something I could ever
Can
win.
you imagine winning $1 billion?
No.
That'd be fun.
But
I wouldn't be here today. I don't think.
But-
Actually, I'd be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. This would be the only thing you do.
I'd be here. No doubt I'd be here. No
Oh,
doubt.
but imagining winning $1 billion. A lot of people are tuned in to be able to see it. This California, wherever the Powerball is located, delayed due to technical difficulties on the night when they have the biggest Powerball drawing, maybe ever. I don't know. So I'm just putting it on the 10-foot. My fault, not my fault. Do you think that the reason for it was actual technical difficulty? Something I'm well versed in. So I would love to give the benefit of the doubt. However, it seems like a very peculiar time for it to happen for something that they do once a week. And all of a sudden now, hold on. I don't know if we want to give away this much money. Or I don't know what else it would be.
Well, it wasn't giving away the money because somebody did win in California.
But it got delayed?
One ticket won the $2 billion in California. So somebody did win the money, right? Now, I don't know if there was something shady going on behind the scenes of like why it got delayed. Conspiracy theorists probably would think that there is. There's a lot of people that have come out and said this doesn't make much sense. How is there technical difficulties? This is the one thing you do every week. Live. Why is there technical difficulties?
Yeah, I was trying to zoom in.
So I don't know, but the winning lottery ticket was from California. A lot of taxes being taken out of that one, though.
Maybe that's why. Maybe he wanted to reestablish where he bought the ticket.
That's impossible. You can't do that.
Maybe I bought it in a different. I don't know. Maybe to see if you can get an area code moved, like an entourage where you want it to be in.
One person won that. That's unbelievable.
What do you do? Do you pick numbers?
Yeah, so you can either let the computer generate it, or you can go out and you can select numbers.
I feel like I'd rather the computer do it because.
Okay, what's the chance of you actually picking all the numbers?
Yeah, but then it's you see the numbers and it's your mom's birthday, your dad's birthday, and it's oh, those are probably the ones I would have picked.
Right. Yeah. That's one time, and then the other 1,000,000 times that you have the drawing, it's well, none of the numbers I would have picked were in there. I don't know. I've done them a few times. Obviously never won. Good for that guy. But yes, it was a little shady. So
first thing you do, buy a plane. Is $1 billion enough for a plane?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it is actually.
Because that's a chunk of change right off the gate. That's what Shaq said after he signed his first big NBA contract. He's like, I spent $1 million in a day and I didn't have shit to show for it. He's like, I bought a new house that wasn't built. I bought a new car that wasn't delivered. And it's just think
about it this way: $1 billion, right? So $2 billion. Let's say you take 50% out of that, you get $1 billion. Let's say you spend $25 million on a plane, which you can get some cheaper, some more expensive, depending on how big the plane, what you want to do. Let's just say you spend $25 million on a plane. That means you have $975 million left.
I think I would.
So, I think you're all right.
Morning show would be tough.
I think you're all right. I don't know the first thing I'll do.
Why? Because you wouldn't be up for it?
I don't think yeah.
Let's get to our curtain calls.
All right, I have a curtain call. I don't know if you want me to save it for last or if you all have one.
No, you go for it.
All right, so my curtain call is, I believe it was on this day, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
We had...
I remember exactly where I was when this happened.
Me too.
I was at my uncle's house. I was about to walk out. I was mad LSU was going to win, and all of a sudden I stopped by the door to watch it the last play, and this happened.
What a day.
What a day.
Jefferson Pilot. Unbelievable.
What a day.
Watch. My favorite part about this whole thing is they put the score on and said Kentucky won.
Uh-huh. Look at this guy. Oh, shit. Oh, he hit him.
What a freaking game.
So we were watching it on the couch in my house in Alexandria. My brother's buddy did the same thing you did. Got up off the couch. We heard the PlayStation fire up so we could play NCAA. And then we start freaking out, and he comes running out the room pretending like he saw it. He's like, no, I changed it back. Like, oh, fuck you, buddy. You missed it.
I watched it, though. I was at the door. I turned my head around the door.
I'm never going to give up completely.
Yeah, right.
But he tried to play it off like we did, and then we went outside and threw the football like Marcus Randall for 2 hours. And we just threw see how far we could throw it.
That was a good old time.
We got a mini football, and we were just run as fast as you can, as far as you can. So,
let me just chuck it up there.
Yeah.
I love it.
You got one?
My curtain call is to... it's a future a little bit, but it's to all the boys that's gonna make the trip to Miami this weekend.
Boom.
Much appreciated.
Curtain call to you. Thanks for having the trip so we could go and show up.
Lloyd, we'll FaceTime you. Promise.
Yeah.
Why don't y'all do the show from there remotely? Just video call in, and I'll be right here. What
put
time
one of
would
those,
it be?
We'll put one of those green screens in the bathroom.
That'll be start at 7 p.m. our time. I don't know if that's.
You heard I
possible.
said? We'll put one of those green screens in the bathroom again. Like I did
Like
in
you
college.
did in Cabo, yeah. The place vast.
Guy travels with this thing.
Everywhere you go.
My current call is to Lamar Jackson, not because of the game he had against the Saints on Monday Night Football, but having after the game, post game, had a fan that had been wanting to meet him, and after the game he comes in, meets him, and then it's just Lamar seems like a awesome guy.
You ain't heard a bad word about him.
No, like he seems like he's about as genuine as they come, like just down to earth, and to me, like that, those moments are like that's kind of what makes an athlete who he is, right? Like. And obviously they're very good at what they do and they make a lot of money. But if you have that kind of compassion, empathy, and kindness towards people and like go out of your way to make that kid's day, like that's awesome. So to me, that's the.
I don't think he made that kid's day, but that kid's life.
That
kid will never forget.
Like
that.
crying, like that to me, that's.
That kid hadn't given a hug that tight in probably weeks.
Yep. No, you don't hug his parents like that.
Look at that.
And
look at Lamar just hugging him back too.
If you're Lamar and his business team, this is excellent.
Pay that man.
Excellent PR for like look how much Baltimore loves me. Why would
Get off my wallet.
Did y'all hear that story? Did y'all hear that story on Monday Night Football? And they're talking about that fan who every week would get a tattoo of
it was celebrating whatever opponent
whatever,
they beat.
right? And so, but they said the Ravens Instagram account or Twitter account has posted every one of his tattoos except for one. And it was week 4, and the tattoo that he got just said, "Pay that man." So the Ravens did not post that one.
I didn't hear that part of it. I love
Pay
that.
that man.
That's
They
awesome.
did not post that one.
I don't know what they're thinking in Baltimore. I don't know because you've built your entire offense around him.
They're not thinking anything, bro. They got screwed by the Browns when the Browns gave
they did.
a $250 million all. Because here's the thing. They understand, like, and we don't know what Lamar asked for, but, like, how you going to pay Lamar anywhere that's something that's not literally in the same boat for a guy that's in the same division as him, doesn't have the number of MVPs he has, he's younger, and he's won more playoff games. And this man got this, and you're not going to pay him? Like, they got screwed by the Browns. That's what really happened. So they're trying to sit on that wallet as long as they can because they're going to have to come off of it.
And he's
soon.
Let the Saints pay him.
And he's representing himself, yeah. Well, did you see what Sean Payton said? He said
On the Manning cast? I mean, on the was it the Manning cast?
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
see
what'd
it.
he say?
he said, well, he's going to be a free agent at the same time I am.
Look at Sean. Just
Bring it back.
Look at
All both of you, come back to it. Come back.
Look at Sean just
I mean,
doing what
like,
he wants.
there's
with
zero
this
chance
thing.
that Sean comes back to New Orleans, huh?
I don't think so.
Zero?
He keeps hanging around the facility.
He was.
Can't
he
be
was.
0%.
He was in New Orleans recently, wasn't he?
Maybe he just wanted a year off, and Dennis Allen is just going to bite the bullet and come back.
It's a great way to establish.
Can you imagine?
Just
Sean
wanted
Payton?
to let you know what you were really missing here.
Can you imagine Sean Payton, Lamar Jackson, and Alvin Kamara on? Oh my God.
And Chris Olave.
And Chris Olave.
Not
and,
Michael Thomas.
And Jarvis
No, he'll
Landry.
be there.
Michael Thomas will be back.
He'll be there.
With
Put,
the
put him in
defense?
the fucking dog
Oh
uniform
my
at least.
God, dude.
Make him go be a mascot.
If he thought-
You're gonna have to do something for the money.
Hey, if he loved,
Sure, coach.
His feet are like this right now.
Yeah, you better
Keep
be.
him elevated, baby.
Yeah, Rice, baby. Rice.
Keep him elevated.
if he
Rest,
loved
ice,
Taysom Hill and thought
depression,
Taysom Hill was the guy, I mean, you've got to be in love with.
Yeah.
Now he did have a chance to get Lamar. He traded up.
Yeah. They tried to get Pat too. That didn't happen though.
Well, he traded up in the draft
to get Pat.
to get.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he
No.
got leapfrogged.
I know, but my point is somebody drafted Patrick before him.
Yeah.
Whenever Lamar was in the draft,
he was still there. Yeah.
he could have gotten him instead of Marcus Davenport.
All right.
Oh, and you traded back into the first
So,
round to get Davenport.
That's all on the point. So you traded up to get to Davenport, and Lamar was still on the table. Lamar went after Davenport. You had the opportunity to get him.
Yeah.
I mean, hindsight. I get it.
Of course. Drew was
Hindsight's
still,
everything.
But
Drew was
boy,
still- Drew, for as much as he did for the franchise, those last 4 years.
he
I would
was
say that.
fine.
I mean, dude,
He made Tom Brady not come here. You would at least got one more Super Bowl.
they sold the farm, but Patriots did the same thing. Sold the farm for Tom, and now you gotta
the
start
piper.
over. You gotta start over.
It's gonna be a brutal rebuild. Saints have been this bad.
Well,
since.
You just see.
they're not that bad. They're not as bad as the old Saints.
Yeah.
They're not.
You just see what it's really like when you don't have the general like playing. And the one we thought we were gonna have, I don't think is healthy at all.
Me either.
And then you don't have Sean Payton.
I think he's literally in a uniform every day because he is the emergency backup if they have to have someone else play. But I don't think he's healthy. And there's just no way you keep him out.
And he's addicted to dressing out. Like, you remember him at Florida State when he got suspended.
Yeah.
And he came out in full pads, went through full warm-ups, and Jimbo walks out. He's like, Jameis, what are you doing? Like, you're suspended. You can't be in uniform. You're making me look like a goddamn fool. And Jameis was like, what are you talking about? I just wanted to be a part of the team. He's like, go into the locker room, go put your sweats on because you're still a part of the team, but you ain't playing today. And Jameis was just like, I'm good through all the warm-ups, lead the team.
And you fast forward years later, and he's the one rapping before the team and everything. Like, I just don't think he's healthy.
Yeah,
like,
because they love him.
I really don't. Because when they cut to him in between, like, you don't ever see him like disinterested, mad, or any of that.
Still
like,
being himself.
He's as engaged as possible. So it's hard for me to believe that someone that's as competitive as that is like, oh, I'm so cool with losing my job. Like,
Man still got in a fight when he was, whatever turned into a tussle. He was the first one off the bench.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They got a lot of work to do. We'll see what happens. Great show today, boys. Great show. We had a couple good guests. Tre Morgan made an appearance. Tyler, thank you to Tyler and Tre for coming on. We will be back again live from the studio on Monday of next week.
When do y'all get
6, 8
back?
p.m. I get back Sunday morning.
That Monday show you're going to hate.
No, I'll be all right. I'll be good.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
I'll be good.
Come on, what do you think we're going to do? Let's have a couple dinners.
Dinners and beach, baby.
Yeah, we're just going to
Get a little suntan.
watch some videotapes. Hang out.
Get a little cabana.
Get a little sun.
I don't know about that.
It's going to catch you. It's going to catch you.
Him.
No, y'all are both good complexion.
Oh, I'll
the
definitely
sun.
get. I'm getting.
You'll be crispy.
Can't wait.
Take a bite out of you.
Whoa.
You'll be having
That's
that.
okay. Well, that's
What?
okay. You've been watching Mik'd. We're
Y'all
brought
have
to you
a
by
good
Sterling
night.
Automotive. Thank you to all of you watching. We'll be back again live. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy this weekend. Sorry that you're going to miss us this Friday from Uncle Earl's, but still go to Uncle Earl's. Go have some drinks tonight. This weekend. We got some things popping.
Jack will definitely try to make me go.
No doubt. All right. Enjoy the night. You're watching Mik'd Up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive.
See you.